like not even, like a minute into the conversation, he asked me my thoughts about the newest Batman movie. And I was like, is this like the one thing people remember me for from high school is like, oh, hey, what's up, man? So anyways,
what are your thoughts?
How about that Batman movie? What are your thoughts?
He was just like trying to relate to you, and he's like, yep, this is it. This is my end.
Yeah, this
for
is the
sure.
one. Alright.
Nice. I thought that was like supposed to be like a clapper type of thing. Because like you guys are feature-length podcast.
Oh, like no.
The clapper, yeah.
That's a good idea.
I thought that's what you were
We should keep
doing.
that in. Yeah, I don't know why we don't.
I thought that's what you were
No,
doing.
we normally just do it just for syncing.
Oh, no. No. You guys, isn't your logo a clapper?
Yeah. Great job.
Guys,
What the fuck?
you need
Why did this take this many years?
You're welcome.
Okay.
What is the feature-length podcast? Anyone?
The feature-length podcast is a show where three idiots talk about film and entertainment.
Good answer.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, are you talking to us?
Yeah. I'm talking to the voices in my head.
Like I truly don't know. It felt like a fever dream. I swear to God, I could not.
It sounds so stupid hearing that.
If you're listening to this is a podcast.
Welcome back to the feature-length podcast.
Welcome back to the feature-length podcast.
Welcome back to the feature-length podcast, a podcast where we talk about movies and TV for a feature length of time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the feature-length podcast, season 4.
Woo!
Woo! Season 4 premiere episode. I am one of your usual co-hosts, Marco. Today, I am not joined by your other two co-hosts, Dan and Carol. For those of you who may be avid listeners, we did kind of let everyone know that typically, we come back in September for the feature-length podcast. This year, we would be pushing it off to making a return in the new year because we film our selection series episodes in the new year. And this year, our selection series episodes are TV shows, not movies, and they take a hell of a lot longer to prep for. So we didn't really have enough time to produce other content, and so we were planning on coming back with that. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I somehow found enough time to watch 10 seasons of another TV show in that amount of time.
Yeah.
And I'm here to talk about that today with a very special guest. This guest has been teased since season 1 of the Feature Length podcast. And for the longest time, we've been saying...
Was that the Batman episode?
Well, you probably came up then, but we talked about bringing this guest on, in particular for MCU stuff, which we still have never done. We've still never covered it. But
gotcha.
Avid listeners of the Feature Length podcast might recognize this name. It's Rachel. Hey,
Woo!
Rachel, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome, finally.
Hello, thank you for having me.
To the season 4 premiere of the FLP.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I feel very important.
Well, this is a very important topic. So,
it really is.
And you are the only guest that really I could do this topic with. So I'm glad you're here for it.
I'm honored. Still honored.
Yes, here over the Christmas break. Just about to be Christmas break.
Yes.
And we're excited to kick off season 4 talking about Vanderpump Rules, everyone, as you can see by the title of this episode. I just want to say, before we get fully into Vanderpump stuff, every once in a while, an episode of this podcast catches, like, a particular algorithm. For example, when we did our John Mulaney episode, we randomly got, like, 700 views, because we just caught the John Mulaney algorithm.
Okay.
And this is going to be releasing, obviously, Vanderpump Rules, big in the algorithm right now.
Big.
But also season 11 coming out realistically probably a few weeks after this episode we post it.
You're going to get that audience. Yeah.
If we catch the algorithm, if you are a Vanderpump Rules fan and you're like, what is this that I just clicked on? Stay for the Vanderpump discussion, but also go ahead and check out the 3 years worth of content that me and our regular co-hosts have made. We're a podcast that talks about movies and TV, usually, sometimes stand-up specials. And yeah, we just talk about it for a feature length of time and have a great time. And we have lots of fun sub-series. If you check out our YouTube playlist, we have various sub-series like double feature movies and, as I mentioned, our selection series, which is where typically we pick a favorite movie, a movie that each of us would consider to be one of our favorite of all time. Okay. Because that's a really tough question to answer, you know, and film fans get it all the time. And it's like, well, how can I just pick one? So We have a whole series dedicated to picking one that we may consider to be, depending on the day, and we do deep dives. And like I said, this year we're doing that, but for TV shows. So in the near future, after this episode, you'll be hearing episodes on TV shows such as Lost.
Oh, wow, really?
That's Dan's choice, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Lost. Have you ever watched Lost?
I tried to watch the first episode.
Oh, okay. Only the first episode.
I was very confused what was happening, so it didn't capture my
Well,
attention.
I'll tell you what, Rachel, it only gets more confusing after the first episode. My pick, The West Wing.
Still haven't watched that either.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
But also only seasons 1 to 4 of The West Wing.
Okay, really?
Fuck everything else after. And Carol's pick, which is, what's the show about the soccer coach? Remember? The good one?
Ted Lasso?
Yeah, Ted Lasso.
Okay.
Ted Lasso, yeah. I still haven't watched it yet because it's so short. I'm just going to bang that bad boy out. But yeah,
Okay.
Ted Lasso. So if any of that sounds if you're a Vanderpump fan that accidentally found this and any of what I've said sounds interesting, please subscribe. We're also on every podcast listening platform. Check us out anywhere you may think
Nice.
to check us out. And now, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's talk about it.
It's time to serve.
It's time to serve. So, Rachel, why don't you tell the podcast listeners and the Vanderpump fans a little bit about yourself first,
Okay.
as a special guest.
Yes. Oh, okay. Go right
Where do
into
you
it.
come from? How are we
Where
friends?
do I come from? I mean, if we're going physically, I'm from the
I feel-
Philippines.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. I feel like our friendship,
Oh, okay, we're going that way.
had a tad of a Vanderpump-esque
Yes.
trajectory to it in
I
high
think
school
you-
going into university.
You know what? I think I would probably be like a Katie.
Yeah.
I would liken myself to a Katie. You know, she was kind of. We'll get into it, but I think in this dynamic, I was probably like a Katie, and I don't think you were a James, but I think
I hope not.
but I think out of all the guys,
Oh, I see.
you know,
I see. Like, because Katie and James, like...
they're friends now.
They're friends now, but it used to be rough.
Yes.
But I also never...
But you're not like a Jax.
I also
wouldn't say you're a
never
Jax.
asked if you were expecting and
Yes.
said stuff
Okay,
like
yeah.
that.
You're not like that type of James. But I would
Yeah.
just say like the dynamics of them not being that close
Fair.
to now being
Yes.
friends is how I would describe our friendship.
Got it. I think that's fair,
Because
yeah.
like Katie hated all the other guys, so it's like
That's
I don't
true.
think that would be.
Yeah. I'm also not willingly gonna pick any other guy on the show to be...
Is James the number one guy?
James
I
is,
think he is.
James is the new number one guy, yeah.
Yeah, because I think there's no one else unless you count Peter, but.
Well, I don't count Peter.
The
I mean,
silence.
Andy Cohen,
Oh, that's true.
but that's not... I mean, you know, he's
He's not
outside
a-
of it all,
yeah.
you know?
So I would say, yeah, so for our friendship, we started off pretty rocky. We met in high school.
Mm-hmm.
We knew each other through, again, like classes, but also through mutual friends. But we just did not really get along.
No.
I could not tell you why exactly we didn't get along, like what the initial trigger was. It was just like a culmination of
Sure.
comments or just like disagreements that we had.
I do feel like, to be fair, it was mostly
the other people.
the people that I was around.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
again, James.
Very James-esque. Yeah, very James-esque.
So it, you know.
Also, sorry, not to cut you off,
Yeah.
but how weird that a main character on the show is named James Kennedy.
James Kennedy.
And we went to high school with
With a
someone
James Kennedy.
named James Kennedy.
Yes, I remember watching that and I was like, "Whoa, that's so weird."
So weird.
So weird.
But yeah, continue.
But yeah, so then we somehow became friends in a religion class because I had turned around
Yep.
after watching a movie, which you kind of referred to it about the MCU. I had just watched Captain America: The Winter Soldier,
What a
and I
simpler
turned
time.
around and I said, "Hey, have you seen that movie?" And thus, a
And
friendship was born.
A friendship was born.
And now it's been years later, even living cities apart, we
Mhm.
have still maintained a friendship. And now, yeah, we're closer than ever.
Yeah. And it's all led to this.
It's all led to this.
Yep, this is the breaking point.
This show, yeah, it makes sense that this would be a show that we would talk about.
Yeah, it really
it
does.
really makes
It really
sense.
does. So let's get into it.
Okay.
So, the topic of this episode, as we've been beating around the bush about,
Mhm.
is Vanderpump Rules, which, for those of you who don't know, is a reality TV show on the Bravo network, right?
Yes,
It's on
Bravo Network.
Because that's not where we watch it in Canada, because, you know,
Watch it
fuck
on
us.
Hey You.
Yes, we watch it on Hey You. But it airs on Bravo. It was a spin-off of The Real Housewives of something.
Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills, okay.
Mhm.
Because Lisa Vanderpump was on that show. She's
Yeah.
a famous
Restaurateur.
restaurateur in the
Mhm.
LA area.
Yeah.
A queen. We love her.
We love Lisa.
She's the best. And Yeah, and this show was a spin-off of that, and the initial premise of it basically just being... It's about all the workers, all the young, hot workers at one of her restaurants called SUR, S-U-R.
Which stands for...
Sexy Unique Restaurant.
There you go.
Yeah, love it. Which, like, if you need to know anything about this show, like, just that sets the tone for everything that the show is. So the show has been on since 2012, 13?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
So it's been a while. 10 seasons, not exactly 10 years because of COVID, so there was like some filming issues and delays and stuff like that. And then also pretty famously, every season ends with reunion episodes hosted by Andy Cohen, the absolute legend who we love. So that's sort of the premise of Vanderpump Rules. I'm going to turn it over to you, to Rachel, to say, because you introduced this show to me, and I want to get to my experience with it shortly. But
makes sense.
How did you discover it? What was your vibe watching it the first time? Where are you at with Vanderpump Rules in your life?
So I knew about Vanderpump Rules before this year or last year because I had actually watched a few seasons of The Rich Housewives of Beverly Hills. So I had seen that whole era, but I never finished the entire series. I think it's still actually ongoing because there's just way too many and there's too many spinoffs. But basically, the social media platform that we know and we love, TikTok, you know, earlier this year, because it only happened this year, my idea of time is so skewed. We got the news that we'll talk about that happens in season 10.
Oh, yeah.
My TikTok algorithm was just blowing up with that reunion episode. So I was kind of like, what is this? You know, I like to know things that happen in pop culture, and I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know these people. So I had seen those like little short clips about the reunion, and I was like, let me just watch the first season because it was on Prime Video. I already had that subscription service, and I was hooked right away because, again, I will say, and I've told so many people this is the best reality show I have ever seen. And I've consumed a lot of reality TV. Yeah. And I binge watch shows like it's nobody's business. So when I say this, like, this is not me just like hyping on the hype train. Like, this is actually the best reality show I have ever seen. So since I started at the beginning of like 1 month in the summer, and I finished the free seasons that were on Amazon Prime. And then when I think it was season 3 or 4 that isn't on Amazon Prime anymore, I elected to get a free trial of Hey You, which is a 1 month trial. But I said, say less, I can do this. And I finished the season, or all the season, sorry. Yeah. Before my 1 month trial ended. Yep. So, yeah, I was hooked. And even when I had like a little slump, which we'll talk about, a specific season did give me like a watching slump, I still managed to finish it. So, yeah, 10 seasons later, after I finished, I was telling anyone and everyone who would listen, you have to watch this. This is something that will alter your brain chemistry. And I told you and Maddie when you had come up to visit in Ottawa, I said, this is the show that I think will change your guys' life.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So here's where I'm at with this.
There's a hole in my heart now. Like,
that you're done?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I've watched like 3 TV shows since finishing this, and I just can't.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. So here's the thing. Before Maddie and I came up to Ottawa, a few months before when #Scandival, which if that doesn't mean anything to you, it will. Just stick around, #Scandival. So #Scandival, obviously epic, took the internet by storm, like truly caught the algorithm of the internet, like you were saying. So
every article, everything.
There's a YouTube channel I watch called Kinda Funny. Shout out to Kinda Funny. They do mostly video game content, but they also do a lot of like movie content as well. So and then just like general, like they have more of a casual podcast, which is fun. You know, just the hosts get together and talk shit. And so I listen to a lot of that stuff. Okay, and on one of these episodes, one of the hosts, Tim, talks about this show called Vanderpump Rules, and he breaks down Scandival. Now, keep in mind, at the time, I knew nothing. So I'm listening to all these random names and like the connections being made of like who cheated on who and what's happening, etc. And I'm like, damn, this sounds fucking crazy. This sounds like the type of show I could get into. But I was also like, this is a lot, and it's season 10 of a show. I don't know. Then a month and a half later, Maddie and I come up to Ottawa. We visit you. I don't think we were in your apartment for more than 5 minutes before Vanderpump Rules came up as a topic of conversation.
That checks out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then leaving Ottawa, as you know, listeners of the podcast may not know, there was the whole debacle. Okay, Ottawa did not want us to leave.
No, they didn't.
It was hectic. Should not be that difficult to travel within
the
country, within the fucking province that you're in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so shout out to Canada for having terrible infrastructure, but this is where we're at. So we get back a day late, like fully 24 hours later than we were expecting to get back. And we're pissed and we're hungry. Mm-hmm. So we ordered some food and we're like, you know what, fuck it, let's put on some Vanderpump Rules. Mm-hmm. I've heard about it twice. Maddie's like, I don't know, Rachel spoke highly of it. I'm like, let's try. So we put it on.
Yeah.
Now here's what I'm going to say, Rachel.
Okay.
You are a reality show connoisseur.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
For most of my life, I have not been.
Okay.
Like, obviously growing up, we very much grew up in the era of, like, the American Idols and the Dancing with the Stars and the, like, competition-based reality TV.
Yeah.
And, like, that kind of stuff I watched because it was more competition-y. Your Hell's Kitchens, whatever, stuff like that. But true, like...
Jersey Shore.
Kardashians.
Really?
Real Housewives, not for me. Like, could never get into it because it was sort of like...
It was fake.
It was so fake.
Yeah.
And also, like, nothing on it was trashy enough to be, like, funny. To me.
Yeah.
To me. Where I'm like, what is this? So I could never get into that. And then, like, I started to develop a taste for, like, Bachelor. Like, I was never into Bachelor either.
Yeah.
Like, Maddie was sort of, like, a fan of that, but I could never,
You stayed away.
I mean, a little bit Bachelor in Paradise, because that got, like, slightly trashy, but, like, still not fully, where I'm like, dude, if I'm gonna watch real people fuck around, I need some passion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I need it to be stupid.
Yes.
So, I think the biggest holdback with all that stuff is that it's, like, network TV. So, like, you know, there's lots of censorship and et cetera, et cetera. So, anyway, this is all to say that Netflix has started their own little cinematic universe of reality TV shows.
They do, yeah.
With Love is Blind, Too Hot to Handle, The Circle, and what's the other one? I'm missing one.
Too Hot to Handle?
I said Too Hot to Handle. There's one.
The Circle, Love is Blind.
The Ultimatum.
The Ultimatum, yes.
Nick and Vanessa Lachey are just...
They're the leads.
They're popping off on Netflix.
They're the Nick Fury.
They really are the Nick Fury. And then, of course, we had the one show that brought all the favorite cast members together. Perfect Match. So, I kind of got into the Netflix side of it because it could be R-rated and it could be dumb.
Yeah.
And it really leaned into, like, stupid young people being stupid. Like, for example, my favorite one of all of them is Too Hot to Handle. Because for those of you who don't know, the premise of Too Hot to Handle is a bunch of people go to an island for, like, 2 weeks. And, like, they just can't have sex for 2 weeks and they'll win, like, $100,000. And, like, none of them can do it. Like, they literally are, like, panicking over not being able to have sex for 2 weeks. It's incredible. It's so stupid. So that, like, when Netflix started popping off with that, I was like, wait a minute. Like, that was like the Iron Man 1. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, wait, this could be something.
This
like,
could be.
Reality TV has some potential, okay? So that's the mindset I have going into Vanderpump Rules. And by the end of, like, maybe 3 episodes of the first season of Vanderpump Rules, I was like, no. Like, that was like my Infinity War experience, where I was like, wait, this is different.
This is something.
And, like, having now watched all of Vanderpump Rules, I can say with absolute certainty, this is not just with a bullet the best reality TV show of all time. I would probably put this in my, like, top 5 TV shows, like, in general.
Top 5?
Dude, it is unbelievable. It finished. Since it finished, Maddie and I have watched The Fall of the House of Usher, Mike Flanagan show.
I watched that one,
Excellent. Love it.
Excellent.
Loved it. We've been watching the new season of The Ultimatum, and we watched the new-ish, I mean, it's been a while, season of Love is Blind, okay?
Okay.
And it was, like...
Not the same.
Every single, like, there was just a hole in my heart when I would sit down with my food at dinner to watch TV, and I'm like, where
a chore.
I'm like, where are the people fighting? Where's the 16
Lisa?
degrees of cheating on each other? Where's the people that are, like, quote unquote sober, but they're still fucking, like, smoking and drinking? Like, what is, like, what? How?
Yeah.
How can I watch TV that's not Vanderpump Rules anymore? Like, it genuinely has changed my brain chemistry. Like,
oh wow.
And obviously with House of Usher, like, joking aside, like, that show is phenomenal.
It's really good, yeah.
But that's like a produced drama where I'm like, I can turn my... But to try and watch Love is Blind,
It's not the same.
Bro, Maddie and I were watching the Love is Blind reunion, and Maddie was like, why is this so boring? And I was like, because Andy Cohen isn't having to stop two people from punching each other right now. You know what I mean? Like, they were all just talking. They were like, yeah, so then this happened on the show, and this happened. And it's like...
And, like, Vanessa Lachey does not have...
Oh my god.
The gravitas.
Dude,
that Andy
and
Cohen
Nick
has.
Lachey and his fucking faux hawk, just like it's 2005. I'm like, bro, get a new haircut.
Yeah.
Get a new personality. So anyway, Vanderpump Rules is peak. And but we're gonna get into a season by season breakdown.
So you say like nothing will ever compare.
No.
To this reality
No,
show.
no, no.
Or not even like the show.
It is genuine. Like there are very few TV shows that could compare to my experience. Because here's the thing, and it's actually, you know what? It's fitting that this is the intro to season 4, and that we're about to do 3 episodes about TV shows. Because something I needed to bring up when we do those episodes...
This beats The West Wing for you?
No. This doesn't beat The West Wing. No. Let's be fucking for real. This doesn't beat The West Wing. This doesn't beat Breaking Bad. This doesn't beat, you know...
So it's top 5. It's like 4?
Yeah.
Is it 5?
It's up. It's probably 5. It's probably 5. It's probably 5.
But as a reality show, that's a lot.
The fact that I can say a reality show is in my top 5
that's
is insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That should not be possible,
yes.
okay?
Yeah.
But before we get into like the spoilery stuff, what I want to say is this, right? TV shows, I feel like, and this is definitely going to come up when we talk about Lost. TV shows...
I think I know where you're going with this.
When you're watching a movie, right?
Right.
I can just commit to, I'm going to sit down for 2 hours and watch this.
Right.
Good, bad, slow, fast, whatever it is, and be like, I'm going to take it as it is, right? But I feel like TV shows are a bit more personal, and like, they need to have that thing where it's like, I need to watch the next episode.
You really have to dedicate your time to it.
Yeah. Like, if you're not upset that you have to like stop watching the TV show, I feel like
it's not doing its job.
It's not doing its job as a TV show. And that is, you know, the metric by which I judge most TV watching. And what I can honestly say is like, Vanderpump truly had that like level of
I need to watch.
Like I lost sleep over watching. Like Maddie and I lost sleep.
No, you guys would text me and you guys were like, "Oh, we're watching the next episode," and it was like fully midnight.
Yeah, no, we just couldn't. Like, you can't stop. It was like, do we have 45 minutes to spare? Like, let's just throw on an episode of Vanderpump. Like, literally, like, it truly just, like, is a drug. And I'm so sad to be without it now.
I mean, it's coming back, but it's very interesting that you put... I definitely think right now, I've watched a few shows, like, newer shows that I haven't seen before, but it's, like, taken me a long time to get through it. For example, Selling Sunset came out with a new season, and I could finish that one day. Previous me. Post Vanderpump Rules me, it took me a month. Yeah. And only now did I realize, I think it's because of Vanderpump Rules that I can't binge watch shows the way that I used to anymore.
It's tough. And I want to say this as well. Because there's probably some people listening that are like, oh, it's a junk food effect, where it's easier to eat tons and tons of junk food than it is tons and tons of vegetables, let's say. Right. I'm going to push back on that a little bit. Like, I think the content of Vanderpump is junky, obviously. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about? Yeah. It's a bunch of 20-something-year-olds that are horny, alcoholic,
living
idiots.
In LA.
Like, just fucking, like, the worst humans imaginable. Yeah. Okay? Like, that is fundamentally what this show is. But, like... There is genuinely, I think, artistry in, like, the way the show is put together. Like,
some of those things were not faked.
No, it's not. It's simultaneously, like, it doesn't feel heavily produced, like something like The Kardashians or any of the Netflix shows feel so produced. It really feels real, but at the same time, like, you can tell that there is such a energy in, like, the way it's edited together and the pacing of it. And they do fun, creative stuff within it. Like, every season has a few moments of sort of, like, silly, like, editing choices. And that was even one thing where, to go back to, like, when we were watching the newest Love is Blind, where somebody on the show would be like, well, actually, what I said is this. And it wasn't what they said. Yeah. But, like, in Vanderpump, if something like that happened, they would just cut back to the footage of what the person actually said. It genuinely was, like, comedic editing choices. Yeah, like, it really... Like, it is a cut above other reality TV, I feel like. And is the content of it silly and ridiculous? Yeah, like, that helps. But I do feel like there is quality. And also, just to say this, Martin Scorsese
is a fan.
The GOAT filmmaker said this is his favorite this is one of his favorite shows to like sit down and watch. So if anyone out there is like, oh, fuck this stupid reality TV show, listen.
Just try it.
Just try it. Just try it. Because the director of Goodfellas and Taxi Driver, among many, many, many other things, said that this is his favorite.
His favorite. I feel like you sent me a TikTok about that actually, or something.
I did. Well, I sent you a text after Lala said it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, fun fact. Yeah. There's a character named Lala on this show.
Lala.
Yeah.
We'll get into.
We will get into Lala.
But yeah, you know what? If anyone ever shames me for liking this show, I'm going to be like, I have the same taste as Martin Scorsese, actually.
Yeah. Actually, Martin and I watch the same stuff. So this show is peak.
Yeah. I don't think anything will ever compare. This is my favorite reality show.
Yeah. Oh, I think we both, like, there is a period in the show where there's a couple of rough seasons.
But even then,
those couple of rough seasons are still better than any other reality.
They still were able to weave in like the main characters and draw you in.
Not even close. So just before we get into it then.
Yeah.
We also do something else on the show where we try to do like personalized recommendations.
Oh, okay.
So basically like, because a lot of times you listen to like film and TV reviews and it's either like, this is good or this is bad or whatever, but we try to be a bit more specific about like, who might like something, who might not like something, etc., etc. Would some people be off-put by it? Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I personally am going to go out on a limb here and start off and say, and this is rare for when we've done this on the podcast.
Okay.
I think I could recommend the show to literally anybody.
Oh, okay.
If you're a fan of reality TV, yeah, this is peak reality TV.
Yes.
If you're not a fan of reality TV,
mm-hmm.
It doesn't fucking matter. This is peak reality TV. Like, to me, this is the equivalent of, like if you're not a fan of sports, but when the Olympics come on once every 4 years, and it's like, well, this is just, like, a moment in time. Like, it's just, like, that's what this is.
Yes.
If you are not a fan of reality TV, I promise you could still get something out of the show. At least give the first season a watch as a taste test. If you really... I could understand maybe, like, you find the characters off-putting, because they're so shitty. Like, as people,
mm-hmm.
I could understand that, where you're like, oh, these people just make me feel gross, maybe.
Yeah.
But, like, this show's just so funny. So I would recommend it to anyone.
I would also recommend it to anyone because, like, going off of that point, but it's just, these are actual real people. It's not like the Kardashians where they're already famous, or the Rich Housewives of Beverly Hills where, again, they're rich and famous. They're pretty much out of touch with reality. These people can be out of touch with the reality too, but, like... They're literally servers at a restaurant the first few seasons. Like, that's... Like, it's just someone... They just happened to be working at that restaurant. And they were like, hey, we're going to film a show here. Like, it's just real people. And for me, that is, like, the most interesting part. It's not... And this was also filmed at a time, like, the first few seasons, where social media wasn't really on the rise. You didn't have influencers. These were just people that were already working at that restaurant. And they were like, hey, just film the show. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's, like... It's relatable in a way. Obviously, some of their antics are not 100% relatable. Oh, yeah. But it's like, this is just high school drama on steroids.
Yeah, it really is. It really is high school drama on steroids. Yeah. And to your point, yeah, I think it's like, it is cool. It truly is. That's the part of it that feels unproduced, even though, like, the production is well done. But, like, these are just, at the start of the show, a bunch of, like, poor... idiots struggling in LA.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious, and like it's also hilarious to watch them make more and more money. And that was something that Maddie and I talked about, was like, wait a minute, you're on a successful TV show, like why are you still working at a restaurant? And at a certain point, a lot of them quit and, you know, have money, and you see that in the choices they make in their lives.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, I don't know, it's part of the charm, like watching them grow up. And then there are certain characters that at the beginning of the show you're like, fuck this person, but you kind of like, you grow to, they change, because they're actual human beings. And
they're a journey.
Like they go from being 22-year-olds to like 35-year-olds, and it's like, oh.
It's like relatable.
It is relatable,
You're like, oh, yeah, they were dumb when they were young, so was I.
Yeah, exactly.
So I recommend this show to anyone. As you know, I influenced you guys to watch it.
I am so glad you did, yeah.
I'm not gonna, like, that is a hill I'm willing to die on.
Yeah.
And again, the first 3 seasons, those are free on or like already included if you have a Prime membership.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, if you're already paying for your Prime membership, just use it.
Oh, and Netflix now. They put them on Netflix.
Oh yes, Netflix. Yeah. So if you're already paying for those, just try it.
Just try it.
Just try it.
And I will also say this, okay? Despite the fact that later in the show there is a bit of a slump.
Yes.
It is crazy to me that season 10, and we're going to do our rankings,
Yeah.
but, like, arguably
Mm-hmm.
is the best season, and not even that, but ends the last episode, and then the 3 reunion episodes is, like, the best content the show has ever produced. 10
Best
years
content,
in.
yes.
10 years in, dude. That is an achievement for any TV. I don't know if I could name any TV show that it's like, oh yeah, you know when they produced their best piece of content? Season 10.
Yes.
And that's already after having had, like, success after success
Yeah.
after, like, just killing it every year.
Yes.
Every year. Incredible. The consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are missing out if they haven't seen this.
Yeah.
I wish I watched it live.
I know.
In a way. Because obviously you and I were spoiled a bit. And
Yeah.
I wish I went into it blind.
Oh,
Because
it would have been wild.
I mean, I actually don't know, because I have read on Reddit people's, perspectives of watching it throughout the years, but it's just like, even knowing it at the same time too, it was still shocking to see it happen.
Yeah, I have to say, like, you're talking about specifically Scandival?
Yeah, but even like all the things that happened, like with Lala, with James and Raquel, all that, I knew it was gonna happen because of TikTok, but when it still happened, I was like, wow, how did they not know? Or
I
like,
know.
how are they so calm about it? What do you mean?
I know.
So, even if you have been spoiled by it, don't give up on it.
No.
Still try it.
Still try it. It's worth it. The journey is worth it.
So, what Marco and I are saying, just like, try it. Try the first 3 episodes like he and Maddie did, and if you're not hooked by that, then it's not for you.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone will watch the first 3 episodes and be like, yeah, not for me.
I don't see it. I don't see how. It's too good. And I'm so excited that we get to watch it live, season 11, when it comes out. And we're going to be in our group chat, popping off every night, just talking about the newest episode of Vanderpump. It's going to be...
Oh my gosh, I need to get Hey You again?
Incredible. I don't know. I was going to ask you, do you know where it is in Canada, where it's playing?
I don't know if it's live. I don't know. It'll have to be Bravo.
God damn it.
So, we'll discuss that offline.
Does Fubo have...
Oh, do they?
Bravo? I don't know.
Am I
Because I have
about to
Fubo.
up my cable subscription so I can get Bravo?
You can share my Fubo if you want, because I use that to watch soccer.
Okay.
So, hey, Fubo, if you're listening, no, she's not going to share my subscription.
I actually live with them. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Rachel's just going to move in January.
In January.
All right, should we...
Yeah, let's get started. If you are not convinced by the end of this episode, I'm just going to say, like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, this is a great show. Should we pull a Sir move and refill our drinks and then get into the season-by-season breakdown?
I'm down for that.
All right. Okay, so what we're going to do for this season-by-season breakdown is I found a real handy article that has good sort of overall plot summaries of the first 7 seasons. So for each one of those, I'll read the plot summary, we'll talk about the season, so on and so forth. And then after season 7, you and I can fill in the gaps, because 8 and 9 are kind of like...
Yeah.
Yeah, and then 10 is obviously like peak, and I watched that so recently, so it's fine. So each one of the seasons, this article also gave like a fun little title to.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm gonna read the summary for season 1, which they call The First Shift.
Ooh, I like that.
Vanderpump Rules began as a spin-off of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, with Sheena being the former mistress of Beverly Hills housewife Brandy's ex-husband Eddie. Okay, great. When she arrived at Lisa Vanderpump's restaurant, Sir, sexy unique restaurant, Sheena was greeted by Queen Bee Stassi, who was dating bartender Jax. Wow. That's crazy to even think about.
Yeah.
Also on the payroll were couple Tom Sandoval and Kristen Doty and Katie Maloney. Sheena was met with distrust by Stassi, Katie, and Kristen. Vintage Mean Girls behavior from the trio that continues throughout the series. So many Vanderpump Rules traditions began in season 1, including the surf float at the West Hollywood Pride Parade, rumors of Jax cheating, and Stassi's iconic birthday meltdown. After Stassi and Jax broke up, he proceeded to crash her party in Las Vegas. Oh yeah, and gets into a shirtless fight with her new boyfriend Frank. Never one to be outdone, Jax then begins dating fellow server Laura Lee, who he proceeds to sleep with in various washrooms before dumping after an AA meeting. He subsequently finishes the season by admitting to Stassi that he did, in fact, cheat on her. Mm-hmm. Rachel, where do we start with season 1 of Vanderpump Rules? Let's start about this.
Okay.
We introduced a lot of characters there.
Yes, yeah.
And obviously the premise of the show is kind of like, as alluded to, Sheena kind of pops in, and it's like Sheena's the new person working at
Sheena's the
Sir.
Gabrielle Montez
Sure.
Yeah.
She's the point of view character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And all these other people already work at SUR. So maybe let's start
With Sheena. So Sheena, I forgot her original last name because we just know her as
Sheena
What
Shea.
Will Come. Yeah. But Sheena definitely was introduced as, again, the protagonist. She was coming into the situation where she was dubbed the mistress in the original show. But according to her, she was never the mistress. Mm-hmm. She didn't know that they were together. And at this point, she was dating her new man's. Everything was good. She was just here to get a paycheck.
She really was.
Which was honorable.
Yeah.
She was in LA trying to live it up as a model, actress, whatever. And she just wanted to get a paycheck, and she was met with, as you said in your summary, Queen Bee Stassi.
Oh
and
God.
there will be no, like, Stassi, she has her faults, but this show would not be where it's at had it not been the hard work of
Stassi Schroeder. Here's what I'm going to say, is Stassi in season 1, right? Definitely a mean girl.
Yes.
Definitely.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, maybe you listen to this, you start watching the show, you're like, why is Stassi being so mean to Sheena?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, though, is that Stassi is great.
Yes.
And as we have talked about growth and change, as
was
the
she
show goes
really the antagonist? I don't
exactly,
think so.
Exactly. And also I have to say this about Stassi and Sheena, right?
Yes.
Hashtag Stassi was right the whole fucking time, okay? Sheena came into the show, as you said, kind of supposed to be the protagonist.
Yeah.
And was unprotagonistable. Like, the show could not make her the protagonist because she is such a flip-flopping, useless person.
Yes.
That truly just kind of like, I don't even know if she exists, like, outside of filming Vanderpump episodes. She kind of just exists to film scenes with other people. Like, it's so weird that she was supposed to be the protagonist.
She doesn't have the charisma.
No, she has no charisma. She has no charisma.
Yes. I think definitely I understood why Stassi was kind of, did not want to associate with Sheena.
Yes.
Because Stassi clearly had her relationship issues, and she knew that Jax would have a wandering eye. And, with Sheena not knowing that this man had a whole life, who knows? And again, at the time, social media was not all the rage.
Sure.
Couldn't really Google everything. But it's the way that Sheena also changed up her stories regarding the affair that made a lot of people uncomfortable. But regardless, the show knew they had a hit bringing Sheena into SUR. Lisa knew she had the drama that she needed to get those ratings. So the whole bullying aspect of it, obviously we don't support bullying, but I understand why Stassi was like, just keep your distance from me and my relationship.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's where it started off. And then it kind of, we introduced the other characters. So Stassi, Queen Bee, we love her. We appreciate
She's great,
her.
yeah.
We appreciate her in the show.
It's one of those things where you don't know what you have until it's gone. You know what I mean? Which we'll get into.
Yes.
But
yeah. So Stassi, we'll get into more about her because she really carried this season on her back.
Oh my God, yeah, so much so.
So I guess we can flip to maybe Jax.
So yeah, we'll talk about Jax, who was dating Stassi this season.
Yes.
I think the only season that they're like officially dating.
Because they were dating for 2 years at that point.
Yeah, and they had already been in a relationship. So Jax, terrible person at this point in his life, just a douchebag, cheater.
And he's not faking it.
Not faking it. Like,
he's not
is
faking it.
The quintessential, like man. Like, when people say, like, fuck men and stuff, like, they are talking about Jax. Like, they are talking about Jax specifically in season 1. Although, I will say, a hilarious moment from Jax, I think it happens in season 1, is when he comes into the bar that one day. I forget what for. Okay. Some kind of event they're all there for, and he just takes, like, 7 shots, like, in a row.
Oh, yes, it was a birthday.
It was a birthday. That made me laugh. That was very funny. And for a moment, I was like, wait a minute, do I like Jax? No, I don't. But
what happened after.
Yes. But that was very funny, I have to say. Also, Jax in this season.
Yes.
I mean, we have to talk about the iconic
knit sweater.
Not only wearing of the knit sweater,
but the removal.
To the party he was not invited to.
Oh, yes.
Because Stassi was having a birthday party. It's her fucking birthday.
It's my fucking birthday.
It's her fucking birthday. Birthdays are very important to Stassi.
Yes.
My birthday's a really big deal. To my birthday. It's my 25th birthday. My birthday. It's my birthday. My birthday. My actual birthday.
And her new boyfriend was there, Frank.
And he also works at SUR.
He also
they
works
all
at SUR.
work at SUR. It's a very incestuous.
It is very incestuous
type of working environment. But
although I have heard, like not personally, but like on other podcasts and stuff, I have heard actually that for whatever reason, restaurants tend to be like that.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but it's a kind of a well-known thing that like, especially at like fancier, kind of like, you know, like if you're working at a fucking Tim Hortons or whatever, like, can you tell what country I'm from that I pulled Tim Hortons? But like, if you're working at like a real restaurant for like a period of time, they tend to be really incestuous because it's kind of like, you work weird hours, you know, you finish your night at like 11 and then it's like, what do I do with the rest of the day? Yeah, like, and so these people tend to stick a lot together and then they end up hooking up and et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, so Jack shows up to this place he was not invited wearing the world's worst chunky knit sweater.
It was like Chris Evans, but before Chris Evans did Knives Out.
It was like Chris Evans, but if it was a cardigan and also like didn't fit. Like it was so gross. And then gets into a fight in the parking lot.
A huge brawl.
And him and I think also Tom Sandoval.
Tom Sandoval took their sweaters off.
They take their sweaters off.
And they had to be pulled apart by the producers, essentially, the filmers.
Incredible.
And this was, again, season 1, guys.
Literally, like,
season 1.
Like the first season, this happens.
So we're saying, like, these are real people. Like, this was a birthday party for Stassi.
Yeah.
And they're not famous. This is their first time on the show.
Yeah.
And they had a full-out brawl. We can move over to Tom.
Oh, God.
Kristen?
Okay, yeah,
Are we doing by couples?
So, yeah, Kristen and Tom
have been dating for a few years at that point, too.
Living in a ratty-ass apartment.
Oh, my gosh.
Their season 1 living situation is, like, gross.
And that's why it's relatable. They live in these one-bedroom apartments.
But, dude, I gotta be honest. Like, I mean, I didn't go away for university, but I visited people that went away for university, like you included, but, like, other people... And fucking nobody lived in, like that disgusting. Like, just fucking pick up some shit off the floor. It is disgusting.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. There's not, like, a hell of a lot to say about them right now. This is, like, critical, though. Like, they are critical to the show. They're kind of, like, very much their relationship is a through line and, like, what it implies for the show. It foreshadows a lot. I guess we can say that right now, like, as of season 1, they were having problems, though, still. Like, they were still, like, bickering and fighting, and things weren't great. It wasn't, like, happy-go-lucky.
It was not, like, a stable relationship.
Definitely
not. They gave off more roommate vibes than a couple.
I would agree with that.
In season 1, I felt like he was just a side character.
Yeah, he really wasn't...
He didn't really have much to be other than Jax's best friend.
Yes. Yeah.
And same thing with Kristen. Like, I don't think they really had anything other than when they would have their scenes, like, they just gave off the vibe where, like, they're the couple that fights around you, and you're just like, ooh, okay, awkward.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there was nothing really drawing me to them.
No.
Except for they were just the best friends of the main characters. So,
And both also, like, apparently avid smokers. And
yeah, they gave off that vibe.
They gave off that vibe.
Yeah.
They gave off the you smell like cigarettes vibe.
Yes,
So,
and I think Kristen, was this a season where she was, like, driving him everywhere, too, because his license was expired or something?
Oh, maybe. I don't even remember that, so it must be this season,
So it was just, like, it was a very dysfunctional relationship.
Weird.
It should have ended years ago.
Definitely. Tom Sandoval, I think, also introduced in this that kind of pays off a little bit later is, like, he's all about, like, making moves. You know what I mean? He's in LA to make moves, and so he has, like, a band at this point, and he, like, performs with them, and then he doesn't have a band for the next 9 years, but then in season 10 he has a new band because he has money again and he can pay people to play with him. He really wants to be an everyman. He wants to be a TV star. He wants to be a model. To be fair, he was actually a model, but, like, you know, he wants to be an actor. He wants to be a fucking singer. He wants to do it all. He wants the EGOT. You know? He's going for that EGOT. He'll never get it, but he was going
there.
for it. Yeah.
He's chasing his dreams.
That is the vibe of Tom Sandoval. And Kristen's
just
supportive, but crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll get more to her, but
for sure.
For season 1, they were just kind of under the radar.
Yeah. That's kind of like where they're at.
Yeah.
So I think key takeaways in terms of, like, introducing stuff in season 1 is
they're just laying the groundwork.
Stassi, Katie, and Kristen. Mm-hmm. A trio of best friend females.
Witches of WeHo.
The Witches of WeHo, as they call themselves.
Yes.
And then Jax, Tom, and Tom.
They're also
a trio of male best friends.
Yes.
And those 3 people on each side were all dating each other until the end of the season when Stassi and Jax break up.
Yes.
But that was sort of like the vibe. And then Sheena thrown into that. You brought up Laura Lee.
Yes. Laura Lee.
Only in this season.
Only in this season. If you don't know Laura Lee, she has actually been in movies.
Yeah, she's an actress.
She's an actress. She was in We're the Millers. I didn't know that, but she was in there.
Mm-hmm. I think she left this show to film We're the Millers.
Oh, that would make sense timeline-wise.
Yeah.
But Laura Lee, basically, she was another server at Serve.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she was there for a while or if she was a newer server, but basically after Jax and Stassi broke up, he started flirting with Laura Lee. As Marco mentioned in his summary, they hooked up a bunch of times at the restaurant when customers were there.
Very gross.
That just speaks to, again, how these characters, how these castmates are. But she proceeded to bring him to an AA meeting and, spoke about her experiences with alcoholism or drug addiction, which, first of all, I didn't think you could film those meetings because I thought they were anonymous.
Yeah,
for
I
a
don't
reason.
know how that happened. I also don't think you can film. But they do it later in the show as well, so I don't know.
So, I mean, good to showcase those types of discussions, especially in 2012.
Yeah.
We love to see that. But then Jax heard her childhood or, the trauma of all that and was like, you know what? This is not for me. And proceeds to break up with her after the AA meeting. Literally seconds after.
They get out of the meeting and she's like, I feel great. And he's like, listen, this isn't working.
So they break up and then they have another few days in the restaurant and she just loses her shit at him at the restaurant.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And she's like, you slept with me, you told me this, in front of customers. And, Lisa is not loving it, but she also loves it for the ratings.
Yeah, exactly.
But Laura Lee, I don't know if you've seen this, but on Reddit, they have hypothesized that she is actually a producer of Plant. And that she was never actually a full server at Serve.
That's interesting. And I want you to keep bringing up Reddit theories because I'm
deep into the
much. Yeah. I could totally buy that because she did go on to have a career in acting and stuff.
Yes.
And also, it does seem a little bit like a plot line to help get through the second half of the season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because,
kind of slowed down.
I feel like the first half of the season carried itself really well, and there was a little bit of a slump.
Yes.
So, and also it's the first season of this spin-off show. You don't know, it would be weirder to me in later seasons if they had a plant because the show is so chaotic.
Yeah.
But when it's the first season, it's like, who knows? This could be boring as shit. So, the idea of having a producer plant in there would make sense. Although, like you said, it's just theory,
it's
unconfirmed.
It's a theory. It's not confirmed. But it would make sense because literally after the whole fight in the restaurant, after their breakup, she suddenly had a job offer and she was gone from the show. Never to be heard from again.
Interesting.
So that is what they're hypothesizing on Reddit. Season 1, again, what a way to start off the show. Drama right off the gate.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's instantaneous drama. It's, it is so interesting to think back on because there are so many sort of key players in the Vanderpump universe that aren't introduced yet.
Yeah.
And a lot of the relationships, Jax and Stassi even being a thing that we're discussing is so funny because then that falls away basically in season 2 at some point, and and then obviously we'll get to the other couples as things change, but yeah, it's kind of quaint to look back on, but I would say it's still it hits,
it hooks
even
you
though it's
in.
quaint. Yeah, so
that's season 1.
Season 2, this website has called Tit for Tat, and then in brackets 2, so tit for tattoo.
Oh,
very clever.
Okay,
this website, I should have credited them. I don't know. I'll put it in the description of the video. I'll find where I took this from. Alright, here it is. Early in Vanderpump Rules Season 2, in an attempt to win Stassi back, Jax gets his name... shit, I forgot about this. Jax gets her name tattooed on himself.
Yes.
And then came the cheating triangles. Tom Sandoval admitted to Kristen that he had previously made out with new fellow Sir bartender Ariana. First mention of Ariana.
Ariana!
And Kristen finds torturous ways to help him make it up to her.
Oh.
Katie also tells Stassi a rumor that Kristen and Jack slept together, which she subsequently investigates all summer. That was in season 2?
That was season 2.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sheena gets engaged to Mike Shea.
That was season 2 as well.
Wow, dude. And so begins Vanderpump Rules' first, but certainly not last, wedding saga.
Ooh.
Then comes the second season edition of Stassi's birthday meltdown in Cabo, which Jax is not invited to but crashes, with other women, naturally. Mm-hmm. Mexico also brought out Tequila Katie, classic, the irrationally angry and drunk version of the artist formerly known as Katie, who gets into an argument with her boyfriend Tom Schwartz that ends with him dumping his beer on her. Back stateside, it is revealed Kristen did sleep with Jax, which causes Stassi to slap her in one of the most iconic Vanderpump Rules moments ever. Yep. Apparently, violence is the answer. At Sheena's engagement party in the season finale, Tom Sandoval also punches Jax before departing with Kristen. Dude, I can't believe this was all season 2. I thought this was season 3.
No.
Wow.
No.
Where do we start?
So I'm saying the first 3 seasons, if that does not hook you in, after hearing that, I don't know what to tell you.
That is a peak season right there, just going off of that synopsis.
Season 2.
Excellent. Okay, where do we want to start?
So, season 2, maybe we can start off with the bombshell that Katie drops, because that's kind of like the underlying theme of the whole season, which is that Kristen slept with Jax.
While Stassi and Jax
were together. Yes.
So Kristen cheated on her boyfriend, Tom Sandoval, with his best friend, Jax, who was dating Kristen's best friend, Stassi.
Yeah. And before the news came out, there had been like previous scenes where Tom Sandoval had confirmed that he had made out with Ariana. First mention of her. We love her. Just a little shout out for her.
At this point, just for context, Tom used to work with Ariana at one of Lisa's Villa Blanca.
Oh, Villa Blanca, yes.
Pump doesn't exist yet. Pump comes to so they used to work at one of Lisa's other restaurants. Tom got moved to Sir, and then in this season, Ariana gets moved to Sir.
Yes.
Ariana is friends with Sheena.
Yes.
And I think with Sheena being on the show and stuff,
they needed
somebody to be friends with Sheena.
They needed someone to film with her.
That's why they brought Ariana over, and right from the beginning, you can see that
there's tension.
Tom and Ariana have a connection.
Yes.
And Kristen does not like it. Like, when you see them working together behind the bar and stuff, it is, obvious.
Chemistry.
They have chemistry together.
And you're rooting. As a viewer,
you are rooting for them.
You're rooting for them.
Because Kristen and Tom is so toxic at this point that you're like, please just be with Ariana. You guys are so much better together.
And just to go back, again, season 1, Kristen was showing flashes of jealousy.
Yeah.
And it just became more emphasized within the first few episodes of season 2 that she was like, blah, 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 all this to Tom. And again, Tom admits, they made out one time. And for the rest of the season, Kristen is on her high horse, and she's like, you're going to make it up to me. And then, mother of all bombshells, Katie is like, oh, actually, no. Jax and Kristen slept with each other. Mm-hmm. And that's when Stassi hears this, she immediately goes into FBI mode, and she's like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Because Kristen swears when this is first released, she's like, no, I would never sleep with him. He's my brother.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount Kristen lies about it this season.
Yeah.
Like looking people in the eye, fucking lying to them.
Yes.
About the fact that she slept with Jax the whole season. Mm-hmm. And then even when she admits it, she's like, it was just one time.
One time.
But it wasn't just one time. Like, she couldn't even admit it truthfully and apologize truthfully about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was because again, so the reveal of them actually cheating, confirmation of it occurred in the later half of the season. Mm-hmm. But again, so the entire season, Kristen is torturing Tom Sandoval. And again, as a viewer, you're like, oh my god, just break up with her. She clearly doesn't trust you. You have chemistry with Ariana. Then on the other side, you have Jax, who's desperately trying to win Stassi back. The whole Lake Arrowhead situation.
Oh my god,
they make out and everything. Like, you think they're on the right track to get back together. And then all this happens with Katie. And this is, we were talking about how Katie was never speaking in season 1. Mm-hmm. So she heard the reviews, and she said, I have to get my paycheck this season. And this was peak blonde Katie.
Oh my god. Okay, no, we need to talk about her hair. Dude, Katie has been through numerous hairstyles on this show.
Yes.
Her hair in this season is
awful.
The ugliest hair I've ever seen on a woman in my life.
Awful.
It's like, it's brutal.
Yes.
It's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even describe it. When she gets her first, like, scene where you see it, like, I just remember sitting with Maddie, and Maddie was like, what the fuck
What happened to her?
did she do to her hair? Like, it is, yeah, it's insane.
It was not a good hairstyle choice, but maybe for the times it was fitting.
I don't think so.
But I don't know, with that new hair, a new personality came out.
Yeah.
And Tequila Katie was born. You shared with me, actually, that whole scene with her and Schwartz, her boyfriend at the time. That whole alcohol pouring scene where they were fighting. I did not know this. You had shared that they had refilmed that scene.
One of the most iconic moments.
Crazy to me because they're not that good of actors.
So first of all, let's say this. This piece of news has only come out
recently
because Kristen Doty
yes.
has a podcast now. Classic. She's doing a rewatch podcast
Absolutely.
of Vanderpump, which, what else do you do when you're not on the show anymore? Spoiler alert.
Why not?
And when they got to this episode, she basically revealed that, yes, that scene was filmed. So basically, apparently what happened is this.
Mm-hmm.
Katie and Tom Schwartz were really drunk and really arguing, and that whole argument happened. And then the argument was sort of like done, or like taking a break, and so the producers kind of like turned away. Mm-hmm. And then that like instant like remark and beer pouring happened.
Yeah.
And it wasn't caught on film. Mm-hmm. And so apparently, according to Kristen, the next day, Katie and Tom went dressed in the same outfits and just repeated the remark in the beer pouring. I don't know if I actually believe Kristen, though.
You think?
Like, not to say, because Kristen has had an arc in and of herself of, like, 10 years of, like,
lying.
Nobody believing, and then, with what happened in Scandal, it was like,
she
wow.
was justified?
Kristen was right, like, this whole time. But I don't, like, I keep rewatching that clip, and I'm like,
it's too good.
If it is edited, like, that is the most like, give them an Academy Award for editing. That is the most seamless combination of 2 different days worth of footage I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
And, like, there's stuff that sometimes you watch on a reality show, and you're like, okay, like, I can kind of see the seams of how they're bullshitting around this. Never in my life would I have guessed that. Even knowing that when I watch it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this had to have happened in the moment. There's no fucking way. There's no way. It's too spontaneous. I don't understand.
And I just don't know how you would convince someone to for Katie, hey, get beer poured on you twice.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would convince someone.
Well, and also, like, we're going to meticulously do all your hair and makeup and all the continuity around the shot. They're outside on a street.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're gonna, like, make sure that all the fucking cars and everything is lined up to be exactly perfect so we can reshoot this one moment.
One scene, yeah.
I don't even know how they would go about doing that. Like, that's why I'm like, it can't even be real. Like, I don't know how. We need, like, an FBI team to study that footage.
We do.
Dan,
we need Katie to come out.
Dan, if you're listening to this, I don't know if you're actually gonna listen to this. Let me know. I will send you the clip, and you tell me if you think it's possible that this is not actually filmed on the same day.
I don't know. When you sent that to me, I was shocked because it's too good of a scene. It's
too good.
And again, they're both struggling actors, models in LA at that time.
Yeah.
Who's paying for those acting lessons?
I know. No, there's no way. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
Don't believe it.
Don't believe it.
So that was Katie's arc. She found her voice.
Yeah.
This season. And she lived up to that main credit.
Yes. Yeah, she's a main cast member. So that was Katie. Jax and Stassi, again, they were trying to get back together. Jax had his health scares this season. His fake, well, I don't know if it's fake, but his over-exaggerated cancer scares?
Cancer scare. And Stassi was trying to get him through it in the most Stassi way, aka throwing all his pills and workout supplements down the sink.
Yeah.
And Jax didn't like that.
Jax did not like that one bit.
Surprisingly. But
didn't he make a big deal about, like, oh, like, when I tell you this stuff, I just want you to be there and support me type thing, and you were just, like, fixing the problem.
I don't know. Jax and Stassi, like, it was clear that they were not gonna work together.
No, they're 2 different people. Like, yeah.
But I don't really know if it was, like, it wasn't producer influence for them to get back together. I genuinely think
No,
it
I
was
don't
more
think so.
Jax trying to get back together with him and Stassi
Yeah.
just not wanting to be single.
I think so. I agree with that. And they were also so young. Well, not Jax, but like
Jax was 30-something already at this
he
point,
was young
right?
at heart. You know what I mean? He's an idiot.
Yeah.
But like Stassi was so young at the time, and they were in a serious relationship for a while. I can understand. Like, you know, you break up and then you're filming again, and it's like, I don't know. Let's see what
try
happens.
it.
Let's see what happens. And then it didn't work, and it's for the best for both of them. But yeah, it was never going to work. They're just too like Jax really needs like, I think, and we'll learn this later in the show. But
what he needs.
He needs sort of like I don't even know how to describe it. Like, how do I describe what Jax needs?
He needs someone who's just gonna be there for him.
He just needs like he needs reassurance is what he needs. He needs like love and reassurance, not problem solving.
Yes.
And Stassi is the opposite of that. Stassi is like
You need to get your shit
action.
together.
Yeah, she like takes action. So like
Yeah.
I feel like two people like that, I don't know, sometimes it can work together if you find that balance, but for them it absolutely did not work together because he needed one thing and
she was not
given it. And also though, like, he's a dick, so you know, there's that as well. There's that as well. But
so that was the saga there. I will say Stassi this season was very confusing to me in how she operated in her friendship with Sheena. Because if you remember, she helped plan Sheena's engagement.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Last season, she couldn't be in the same room with Sheena.
See, I feel like, okay, we used to talk about this. I feel like every season where they're all, like, with this main cast, because the cast changes up as the years go, but, like, every season starts with, oh, Stassi and Sheena have fixed things.
Yes.
And then it just, like, devolves by the end of the season, and then the next season is like, oh, Stassi and Sheena
fix things.
It's so weird. They're so hot and cold. It's such a weird...
I think that they could have existed as friends. Actually, no. I don't think they could have ever existed. I think they were always, like, oil and water.
Mm-hmm.
But this season, Stassi was like, I don't really like my friends because Kristen may have slept with my man, and Katie is clearly going through stuff.
True.
And Sheena was just the one person that could actually listen, know all the stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, Sheena was on her way to get engaged, so Stassi's like, you know what? She's not going to steal my man because she's she's on her way to secure her relationship. So, but it was just so jarring to see, like, Stassi be fully part of the engagement planning process.
Yeah, that is so weird.
You know?
That's so weird to think about that happened at one point.
Yeah.
Because they do devolve so much.
It's a lot. What would you think about the introduction to Mike Shea? I mean, he was introduced last season, but he, again, was more of a background character.
Look,
He actually had lines.
Listen, I'm going to try to be nice. As nice as I can be. Two drinks in. Talking about Mike Shea. Later in the show, we're just going to get to it.
Okay, yeah.
Because I need to explain what happens later to explain this.
Or should we wait till then?
Okay, let's do that.
Did you like the engagement?
Sure.
Okay.
I can't speak to him as a person without talking about later in the show because...
You don't know much about him. You just know him as Sheena's boyfriend.
Boyfriend, now fiance.
Yeah.
But there is sort of like things about his character and his behavior that always struck me as odd, and then we learn stuff later in the show.
That explains
it. It explains it, and I was like, yeah, and so we'll get there when we get there, because, you know, we'll save that. But anyway, so, like, the engagement itself, yeah, fine, you know, yeah.
And then the finale of the season, as you mentioned, was the engagement party where shit hit the fan.
Oh, yeah.
If I would say, you know, we were talking earlier, like, how you would convince someone, I would say this episode is what I would introduce.
This is your taste test episode?
This is my taste test episode because it introduces you all the characters in one scene or like the episode itself, and you have drama, and they kind of talk about what the drama is. Like, there's the background context. You have Kristen talking about it with Stassi outside, all this. So I would say this is the episode that I would
that's fair. I could see it. There's the bombshells, there's the punch.
An intense fight where blood is actually drawn.
A real fight, not a season 1
No.
chunky knit sweater fight.
No.
Tom Sandoval just fucking decks him. Yeah.
And, like, they have the respect to let Lisa walk away a few steps.
Yes.
Before he fought Jax.
Yeah.
But this ending to the season is the most chaotic thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Somehow Sheena gets hit. She just had mouth surgery, so she was really stressed.
Oh my god, this is the mouth surgery arc.
Surgery.
Yeah.
Lisa's trying to comfort her. Stassi had just fully slapped Kristen in the face, and Kristen takes it like a champ. You know? Kristen takes it.
She really does, yeah. I mean, she deserves it.
She deserved it at that time. But yeah, this finale episode of the engagement party where literally a brawl turns out.
Yeah.
Jax is bleeding from the head. Jax is smiling after he gets hit, actually.
Dude, it's like sadistic. Yeah. Yes. It's crazy.
And that's how the season ends. I think, yeah.
With a bang.
With a bang.
And then we go right into the reunion.
Reunion episode where Jax does not apologize.
No.
At all.
He stands by the fact that he feels no remorse for cheating.
No remorse.
With his best friend's girlfriend.
And was it at this time that Kristen was still saying, like, they only slept together once?
I think at this point, no.
Okay.
But I do think this is where we get confirmation that Tom and Ariana started dating, right?
Yes.
So this is it. So after a season of Ariana being kind of a side character and all of us being like, wait, she has good chemistry with Tom Sandoval.
It comes out in their reunion that they're together.
They're together now.
And I was happy. I was kind of like, okay. And again, this was when I knew Scandival was a thing. I was like, I love them together.
It's so weird because it's like, you're watching it and you're like, yeah, like, you know, he made out with her while he was with Kristen and whatever. But he's clearly, like, supposed to be with her and it's for the best. And so I'll forgive it for them to be together.
Yeah.
Which, just remember that.
Just remember
Everyone that hasn't watched the show that's listening to this, just
remember
keep that in the back of your mind. We're going to come back to it.
So that's season 2.
Season 2.
Tit for tat.
Season 3. The Wines of Change. Stassi returns from living in New York. Yes. She is no longer a server, but still hates Sheena. Everything has changed in her absence, with her ex-boyfriend Jax getting a nose job, and Kristen dating the new British busboy, James Kennedy. First mention of James Kennedy. That doesn't stop Kristen from doing her best to ruin her ex, Tom's relationship with Ariana, and it becomes apparent quickly she is still in love. Read, unhealthily obsessed with him. Where one door closes, well, another one closes for Kristen. She also gets fired from SUR for yelling at a manager. Jax is seeing 2 equally forgettable women this Vanderpump Rules season. And then it says, sorry, Carmen and Tiffany. I don't know who those are, so...
Oh, I have some notes.
Okay. While Peter goes on the most awkward date in recorded history with one-season wonder hostess Vale.
Yes.
Lisa opens a new bar, Pump, where she hires and fires Tom Schwartz after he has a panic attack and ditches his first shift. Okay. I will say that's a little unfair towards Lisa, that description of what happened.
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
Yes.
It legally would not be a season of Vanderpump Rules without cheating, and Kristen becomes fixated on a rumor that Tom Sandoval was unfaithful to Ariana in Miami and convinces the other woman, Anne-Marie, or is it Anne-Marie? I think it's Anne-Marie, to fly to Los Angeles and appear mid-shift at SUR. Ariana stands by her man, and they GTFO in a waiting Uber. Meanwhile, Tom Schwartz admits to Katie that he actually did cheat on her, and she takes him back, though she does give him an engagement ultimatum, and he gives her a ring on a string.
Oh.
Sheena gets married at the end of the season in a crop top dress of her own design, with Kristen punching James in the parking lot of the reception. Unhappily ever after, right? Question mark.
Oh.
Dude, these summaries are so good. Who wrote them? What the
Season 3.
Another banger! Dude, banger after banger!
I'm telling you, the first 3 seasons.
So good.
The best.
Okay, where do we... You lead us off. Where are we starting with this one?
Okay, so kind of the first line. Stassi and Sheena, not friends again.
No.
Not friends again.
Not friends again. Everything's bad again.
And we'll know in the reunion, when we talk about the reunion, why Stassi was mad. But basically, Stassi quit. Over, like, between season 2 and season 3, she quit.
She quit?
And she is now dating this guy named Patrick. She moves to New York with him.
Patrick.
But for this season 3, she comes back to LA. And she's shocked to find out that Sheena's friends with Katie and all that. All these things. Like, Stassi is the woman on the outside now.
Yes.
Looking
Very much so.
You know, Stassi was kind of forgettable this season, I will
No,
say.
yeah, Stassi, the Patrick era of Stassi is rough.
It's rough.
You know, he I mean, we'll talk about it more as stuff comes out, but, like, he was not good.
He was not good, and
he
it
definitely,
affected
like, held
her.
her. Yeah.
It affected her, and even though, again, the first 2 seasons, Stassi was the backbone. She was the main character of the show. It was very interesting that even though she departed as a series regular, was not really featured that much as a main character, the show still had drama. The show still was able to work and push forward. So, again, now at this point, Stassi's dating someone else. Jax is still working at SUR. You know, we can go through them. So Jax is now serial dating, and he's dating the 2 women, Carmen and Tiffany, that you referred to.
Yeah.
Carmen was the blonde girl that he ended up breaking up with, like, at a pizza restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Carmen.
I gotcha, yeah.
He also gets tattoos of their names.
Right.
For both of them. Tiffany is the...
Okay.
Tiffany's the girlfriend who got him that hotel for the weekend with the boys. And remember how he had brought over girls?
Yes.
And he was on the phone trying to explain it to her, and she was unhappy. Those are the 2 girlfriends.
You want to talk about gaslighting? Is Jax getting on this phone with Tiffany?
Yes.
Telling her the story about how he brought another girl to the hotel room that she paid for him with?
Yeah.
And then being like, I already told you about this. Why are you getting mad?
Yes.
And she's like, what do you mean? We
first
never
hearing.
talked about it. And he's like, no, you're being crazy. We already talked about this and you said it was totally fine. And I'm like, Jax, dude, like, what the fuck is the matter with you?
Yeah, so Jax was going through his thing, but it was very much like him and Stassi apart. I don't think they even filmed any scenes together.
She wasn't in a ton of this, so I can't imagine it.
Yeah, so Jax, he was going through his single guy era this season.
Not very different from his
Dating
relationship
era. He was kind of like that.
Just a whore, yeah.
Oh, this was when he got a nose job.
Yes, his first of many.
First of many. Literally looked like he got beat up. His friends all stopped by to take care of him, though. So the 2 Toms.
Yeah, the 2 Toms.
Oh, another fun fact about Jax this season. When they went to, I thought it was San Diego, maybe not. Remember when he encountered his old friend, mentor?
Oh, is that this season?
That's that season.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. There is so much to unpack here. Oh my god, there is so much to unpack here. So, Jax lived with
this man.
This man. What's his name?
I forget his name, but it was like
Mike?
an older man. Yeah, maybe?
Maybe? I don't know. Who is older than him.
Yes.
This is when Jax first comes out and decides to be a model. So he's young. He's in his like early 20s.
Yes.
And he lives with this older man who is gay. Yes?
Yes.
Like,
I think
officially out. He's, at least, I think as of nowadays, is officially out.
Yeah.
And there were
rumors swirling
that maybe they had a relationship, which, just to clarify, like...
No issues with that.
Not to do the Seinfeld thing of, like, there's not a problem with that, but, like...
We're not gay! Not that there's anything wrong with that.
It's because if you've seen the show and you've seen Jax...
He's very hyper-masculine.
He's such a hyper-masculine frat bro asshole that, like... That's why this is a big deal, is because it's like, wait a minute. Like, does this explain everything? Are you just, like, a repressed gay man? Like, so, yeah, that was wild. And then also they did a bunch of, like, nude shoots and stuff together. So, like, it was kind of like... There was something going on there. And then, isn't there even a moment
they slept in the same bed or something like that. Yes.
And then there's a moment they catch on film where, like, one of them is apologizing. Is it the guy?
The guy was apologizing to him at the club.
At the club, yeah. And Jack is like, no, it's okay, like, whatever.
I was young. Yeah.
So, like, stuff happened. And we have still, to this day, never gotten to the bottom of it.
No. So that was kind of Jax's arc.
Yeah.
He was dating around this bombshell was wiped away pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The nose job, and that was it. So, I felt like Stassi and Jax kind of became the not-so-much main characters.
Well, yeah.
They were kind of the side characters, and I would say this season was way more Tom and Kristen.
Oh my god, this season, when I think back on, is the season of Kristen Doty losing her fucking
Losing her mind.
When you watch her actions in the season, it's like you need to be medicated. Like,
Yeah.
I understand, you know, she already had suspicions about Tom and Ariana, so for them to be, like, dating now, like, obviously that would be triggering and frustrating, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But also, first of all, you also cheated.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, it's kind of weird to be on your high horse and be like, how could you be with this woman that you cheated on me with? And it's like,
But you
cheated on him too. Like, you guys were dysfunctional.
Yes.
But then, second of all, even if she hadn't, there is just a level of, like, wild to Kristen this season where it's like, you need help.
And
like,
she
it's
was
scary.
in a relationship.
With James. Who, as we alluded to earlier, is the cast member that has now talked about the fact that he only got in a relationship with Kristen to be on the show.
You know what? You gotta hustle in LA.
I respect the fuck out of it because he makes this show so much better.
With his commentary?
Yeah. He's so... James is... And I feel like this season, we only get a little tease of James. Like, there's not...
he was young.
He was so young, and there's not that much to talk about, except for the fact that they get in a really big fight, and...
At the end, yeah.
And Kristen, like, slaps him and stuff. But, like...
I will say he was a pretty good boyfriend, from what he showed at the beginning.
I remember him being fine in this season.
He was fine.
Yeah.
He was supportive, you know, he was even supportive to the point where he was like, you know what, yeah, call Tom out.
Yeah.
He was that supportive.
Yeah, literally.
And then at one point he was like, you know, why are you so obsessed with him?
Yeah.
So, like,
exactly.
you know, I felt like in this season, yeah, maybe, I mean, like you said, he admitted that he got in a relationship with her for the show, but he did his part. He was a supportive boyfriend.
I respect it.
Until to a point where he's like, you know what, maybe we don't have to fight with
maybe
Tom and
not
Ariana.
everything has to be about Tom. Yeah.
What did you think watching it? Did you think that Tom did cheat on Ariana?
It's impossible for me to talk about this objectively because I knew about Scandival. So yes, the answer was when this happened, I was like, oh, of course he cheated on Ariana. But like,
yeah.
I think even if you didn't have the context of what happens in season 10, and you were just watching this, I don't know. I feel like the vibe it gives off, and even the way that Ariana talks about the situation when she's asked directly about it, is less like, I know this didn't happen, and it's more like, Tom and I are good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, even if I didn't know about Scandival, I always kind of got the vibe with the Miami girl thing that...
Like, it happened, but they got over it.
It was like, yeah, it was something that they did not take that seriously. Maybe it was before they were even official, and so she just wasn't worried about it.
Yes.
That was always the vibe I got. How about you?
That is also the way that I saw it. I think it, you know, there was in that period where they were not official. And Ariana kind of just seemed like she was like, you know, we didn't have a label on it, so I can't get upset with him. And we'll talk about it once we get to season 10 too, the character arc that Ariana goes through.
Oh my god, yeah.
But I think at that point in season 3, that snapshot of her, it was just like, she was not in a place to talk about it, and I think she just wanted to be there for Tom and salvage the relationship.
Absolutely.
And at that point, like, you know, I think Tom was faithful to her post that. Like, I feel like they were solid.
So there was a stretch where I think they were solid. Yeah.
So I think, you know, the whole drama, Miami girl confronting him at the bar, him walking to the back, talks to Ariana, they leave in the Uber. That is cinema.
Yeah, it was cinema.
That was cinema. And the way that somehow, and we'll talk about this, but somehow Sheena found a way to make it about her.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, oh my god. Don't even get me started.
So basically, Kristen and Miami Girl are talking in, like, one of the tables. Sheena comes out, is mad at Kristen on why she didn't tell her that Miami Girl was coming. And she was like, I'm getting married. And we're like, what does that have to do with
great, yeah.
But somehow, and this is a common thread you'll see in all the seasons, Sheena makes it about her.
Everything's about Sheena.
Somewhere, Sheena is impacted. And Kristen and her Kristen and her get into a massive screaming match. People at the restaurant, one of the managers come out, and Kristen proceeds to yell at her, and Kristen gets fired.
Kristen gets absolutely axed by Lisa.
Yeah.
And to be fair, though, I'll say this, because there's a lot of people on the show who should be fired.
Yes.
And I think Lisa, first of all, is a good person, but also, like, knows that this show exists for the plot.
Yes.
But I think she does a good job of towing the line of, like, if you apologize and like try to fix your behavior, I'll let you keep your job. Yes. But Kristen goes into that meeting with Lisa, and she's like, fuck all of you, fuck this place. And Lisa's like, okay, fine, you're fired then. And Kristen's like, great, see ya.
Yes.
It's again, like, she, at like, no spoilers, but at a later point, gets some therapy and gets on some medication, and she's living her best life. But, like, right now, it is like self-destruct mode. Yes. Like, it's really bad.
So, that is the Tom and Kristen arc.
Which not only becomes, like, the key arc of season 3, but then sort of becomes, like, a key through...
It's
like,
an underlying
Tom and Ariana being together, Kristen's relationship to that whole dynamic becomes critical to, like, the rest of the show.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's like... It all starts...
It's like the Infinity Stones.
It is. It's like... This is like
groundwork.
the first...
This is the first
stone. This is the Tesseract. This is like the Tesseract of Vanderpump.
I would give it that.
Yeah,
yes.
It kind of is, yeah.
But yeah, Sheena gets married, and the season ends. And we move on to the reunion episodes. Everyone's in the room for the first time. This is the first time I think Jax and Stassi were in the same room together. Because we later found out, I don't know if you know this, she was not allowed to film with Jax because it would create problems with her relationship with Patrick.
Oh, yeah, I did. I became aware of that. Yeah.
So this was the first scene, and then this is also where we come out with the news of why Sheena and Stassi were on the outs again.
Yes.
And it was because, if you remember from the season 1, Frank had filmed in a very inappropriate, no consent given from Stassi type of video, and Sheena decided to distribute it, I think.
So I think what we arrived at was that... Okay. Because, yeah, I think the vibe was... Stassi was like, Sheena was showing people.
Yes.
And then I think Sheena's take on it was, no, I watched it.
Okay.
Somebody showed it to me, and I watched it.
Yes.
But I did not go around being like, hey, look at this thing, look at this thing, look at this thing. And I think that's how they ultimately end up, like...
They just agreed that that's the...
Yeah, they ended up mending a little bit because they were like, okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Like, but but it was essentially all to do, with this sex tape, basically.
And again, somehow Sheena... She's in the middle of the crossfires. I don't know
how.
It
has nothing to do with her.
I don't know how she was the only one to see that, because the rest of the group were like, we've heard about the video.
Yeah.
But they had never seen it or something. But somehow Sheena was able to see it. Anyways, so Stassi heard about that, since then was very much against Sheena, which, fair.
I get it, yeah. Very valid.
But Sheena, she was like, yeah, it happened. I'm married. It is what
it is. What it is.
So that was the main bombshell, I think, in the reunion.
It really, because there was a lot that wasn't adding up in this season, and to find out that, like, the whole sex tape scenario, like, I was like, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yes.
About Stassi's reaction to so many things, and et cetera, et cetera. I was like, that, it validates it. I also understand why she wouldn't want to, like, talk about it, but, you know, it coming up at least explain things, so.
And the dynamics, like, it was, I would say season 3 had a lot of drama, but it was like you said, not knowing that was just so weird. While watching it, just not understanding why people were so off-putted by Stassi, and Stassi being off-putted by Sheena. Like, again, the last time we saw them, she planned her freaking engagement.
I know.
And then here to be like, I hate Sheena so much. We were just like, what is this whiplash?
Yeah.
And so I could only imagine watching it live during that time. People were probably like, what
the
did
fuck?
Sheena do?
Exactly.
So, so again, Sheena has some levels to her of just, like, sometimes being questionable. But again, Stassi, not the most perfect person either, but was not fair for her to go through that whole situation with Frank.
Yeah.
But that's season 3 in a nutshell.
Season 3.
The first 3 seasons, just left and right whiplash.
Peak.
But it still keeps going.
Oh, it keeps going. It keeps going. Season 4. Fresh faces, y'all.
Oh.
This season gifted the world with Lala Kent and Brittany Cartwright, both of whom Jax was sexually interested in because it's Jax. He is officially dating Brittany, who he meets at Hooters, imports from Kentucky and buys a new set of breasts. In return, she lets him use the toilet with the door open. Sheena's marriage begins to crumble under Shay's alcohol and drug addictions. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh about that, but I just... having disparaged all her friends and former employer, Stassi returns to LA from another failed attempt at living in New York and begs Lisa for her life back. Somehow, she convinces Kristen and Katie to be friends with her again, and they unite against Lala, who they refer to by many unfeminist names. Couple Kristen and James are still fighting like cats and dogs if animals could legally chug tequila. She thinks he has a drinking problem. He thinks she has a cheating problem. After one last hurrah on the hood of his BMW, they break up forever with him spitting on her door, and she begins dating Katie's former hookup, Carter. Ugh, Carter.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking that guy. He, meanwhile, seemingly falls head over Yeezys for Lala. While on the cast trip to Hawaii for Tom Sandoval's birthday, Jax gets so obliterated that he steals a pair of sunglasses and ends up with felony charges. Worse yet, he has to face Brittany and Lisa. Speaking of life sentences, Tom Schwartz finally proposes to Katie, and while their engagement party gets messy, it does bring everyone together for the finale.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, we gotta introduce Lala.
Okay.
Give him Lala.
Here's my question to you.
Okay.
Because I don't know the answer to this. I don't know the internet's answer to this.
Interesting.
What do you think? What do you like Lala? If so, when? Mm-hmm. And if so, why? And yeah, just Lala. Just talk about Lala, please.
Let me see. Make sure that this is the right season. Okay, season 4 Lala. I liked her. Mm-hmm. She was just giving me the vibes of, again, Sheena coming into a situation, this workplace, and immediately being labeled as whatever. And this season 4, Lala was labeled as very inappropriate things because of her social media presence. And I didn't think that was a fair assessment of her, because they were all living in LA. They're all doing, modeling things, and it is what it is. Yeah,
so for context, basically Lala was like, quote unquote, had like scandalous pictures and
on
stuff
her
on her Instagram, and the girls were sort of like giving her shit because
they would not do that.
And also she was like flying with private planes to go to these like modeling gigs and stuff like that, and the girls were like, there's no way she'd be able to do that basically unless she's like sleeping with the person. Yeah. Which I think also, to be fair, like, I mean, we can get into, but Lala has also very much been forward about the fact that she's like, I do use my body to get things. So that's never been, it's never
been something that she hid.
Yeah.
Was she private about it? Yeah, because it's her business. Yeah. But, like, I just didn't understand why they were coming for her throat, because it's not like she was sleeping with their men. She was like, she's like, this is how I operate my life. And it's like, at the end of the day, I understand it's a reality TV show, so of course sometimes they're going to create drama where there isn't drama. But I felt like it was very much like, especially came from Katie. Katie was very much...
like slut shaming?
Yeah, she was coming from a place where she just saw so many faults with a lot of women, and also came out afterwards, like there were things happening with her and Tom Schwartz. We'll get into that. But at that time, I was just like, I felt bad for Lala, because it's just like, it was her life. She wasn't hurting anyone within the restaurant crew. So it's like, why were they so pressed? So I like Lala here. This was the first introduction to Lala and James. Oh, and I gotta say...
Twin flames.
Yeah. Maybe controversial, but I genuinely think that if James was in a better place, if Lala was in a better place at that time, they would have succeeded.
I think they're meant for each other,
I think so too, but now it's just like, it's difficult.
It's too far gone now, yeah. But they could have made it work.
So I like Lala at this time. In the future seasons, it kind of gets murky, but I think the more recent seasons, we'll discuss it when it comes out.
Yes.
But definitely season 4 Lala, I didn't see a problem with her.
Yeah. I would say, I think I also was getting Sheena flashbacks for a lot of how she was treated this season.
Yeah.
There is sort of one underlying thing, even in this season, and it persists for all of Lala, right?
Yeah.
Give them Lala. she has like I feel like a real inability to like receive any form of criticism and like be able to accept it without it being like an entirely damning thing against her. And so like, for example, with 99% of the stuff that happens in this season, I'm like, she hasn't done anything. Everyone's being a dick to her.
Yeah.
Whatever. This is also the season with the whole topless thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That was the one thing that I kind of got only from the perspective of like, again, for context, they were all on a trip together and there was one portion of the trip where it was like
all the couples.
All the couples.
Yeah.
And Lala was like, basically like went topless while they were swimming or something like that. And I kind of understood Katie being a little bit upset about that because she was like, look, this is a group that's had like so many cheating scandals, so many relationships are on the rocks, etc. Like, I don't give a shit if you want to go topless and be topless and whatever, but it's just odd that you like wait for it to be just the couples and then you go topless. You know what I mean? That was the one thing where I was like, in particular to this situation, I get Katie's point about that, and I thought she was being pretty reasonable. And that's something where it's like Lala immediately takes it to a place of like, oh, so you hate women and you think that women shouldn't be allowed to go topless? And Katie was like, no, like, I'm just talking about the particulars of this situation made me feel a little bit uncomfortable because it made me feel like, and Lala has talked about how she doesn't give a fuck and she'll sleep with people to get like get stuff out of it. She has talked about that explicitly. So Katie's like, it made me feel weird that you would do that in front of all the couples. And Lala just refused to hear that as anything other than, I hate you for being an attractive woman, which is like not the point of what was being said. And I think like that kind of irked me a little bit. It like planted the seed of like, come on, Lala, like you can be better than that.
You can take accountability.
Yeah, you can just like hear what this person is saying and have a reasonable conversation about it and not immediately be like, oh, like you just hate women, you're not a feminist. And then that continues though, where it's like every season I feel like something comes up like that where Lala is just incapable of taking a moment of accountability for herself. Even though I will say like most of the time, yeah, she's fine. But it's those moments where I'm like, come on, bro. Like, you're so close.
I will say, like, during that period, too, it was, like, I think Lala was upset because both her and Faith, the other new server, did it. But, yes, she was getting the most flack for it. So I could understand why she was like, I don't understand why you're just targeting me. Like, if I did it myself, fine. Yeah. But, like, there was two of us. And then that was also the same time on that trip, I think, was when she was trying to tell people, like, hey, Jax was hitting on me, was, like, you know, making moves on me. And Brittany was like, why are you talking about my man? Like, all these things. So I get, like, I completely understand your point. I think Katie was, like, she was trying to just be like, hey, be respectful. But at the same time, I think so many people were piling on Lala at that time that she was just like, you know what? I don't care about these people at all.
100%. Like, 100%. And that's just, like the unfortunate reality of like when you put a bunch of young people and you get them all hammered and then you film them, like nobody's able to communicate because like had Lala's response to Katie been, okay, I understand, but like why are you only calling me out instead of Faith and
all that,
like all this other stuff, and then potentially giving Katie the ability to like respond to that and explain maybe why. Although I think there may be other issues with Faith, which we'll get into.
Yeah, we'll get it.
There's a lot of stuff with Faith down the line, so I don't know how much of that played into what happened here. But anyway, so it just like that to me, that one sort of exchange and moment just planted the seed that I was then unable, because like I just
to empathize with her.
Like we've been around so many people. Like when I say we, I just mean literally everybody. We've all been around a person where it's like you're trying to have. In a good faith way, you're trying to like have a conversation and be like, this is how you made me feel. Yeah. And it's immediately extrapolated to something you weren't saying. Yeah. And that was frustrating to watch. And it just frustrates me that she does that. But I will say, like, I think she has gotten better at it.
Yeah. As the seasons
have gone on, which is getting older and being sober.
So I think our consensus is like season 4 Lala, not as bad as they portrayed her to be. Like,
no,
I not think the enemy.
She was not a villain.
She was not a villain. so we have our intro to Lala.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on Brittany?
Brittany, there was like such a long stretch of the show where I was like ride or die for Brittany.
Really?
Like, I love Brittany. I thought she...
Rotten hell, Brittany.
Rotten hell.
Rotten Hill.
I thought she was very sweet, obviously, as everybody said.
Yes.
And I do think, like, a good person. And I do really genuinely, and we'll talk about this a bit as the seasons go on, but, like, I really do think her and Jax are good for each other.
Do you think that she pulled a James? And...
Oh, was on the show?
Yeah.
Potentially, because I will say her introduction seemed weird. Like, I always have to shake her introduction because that feels like a different person. Once she's, like, on the show, I'm like, I like this person and, like, her relationship with Jax. But, I mean, could she have pulled James? Yeah, absolutely.
That is Brittany from Kentucky. Jax...
What do you think about Brittany?
Brittany, I just, you know what? I do think that she has mellowed him out a bit as we see him throughout the seasons. But at the same time, I can't take them seriously. Like, I just...
Yeah, I know what you mean,
You know, like...
It's kind of like... Wait. Isn't it kind of like watching... You know when, like, two people in grade school, if they were like, hey, we're in a relationship.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you're just like, the two of you, sure, you're in a relationship. You're
because
just like...
wasn't Jax like, oh, we're not together. And then she fully was in a car driving from Kentucky to LA.
Yeah.
And moved into his apartment. So that's why I was like, this guy doesn't even want to be with her.
I know, it's weird.
But he pays for her boob job. He gets her a job at SUR. Like, it works. But
it somehow works, but it is weird. And I think it may have started as, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the moment that happens in Jax's life was, like...
he needed it.
Yeah, it became one of those things where it's like, whatever, but then it's like, oh, wait a minute, we actually are, like, together.
Compatible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's weird.
This is the best relationship that he's ever had. And we'll talk about it in future seasons, how he almost fucks it up.
Fucking dumbass almost fucks it up, yeah.
But Brittany, to me, she's just there this season. I was like, I couldn't take her seriously. Yeah. I was like, dang, you really packed up your whole life for a guy?
For this guy? Yeah.
And again, like, at this point, this is what, we're 3 seasons in. You've seen him on TV. You know the type of guy he is. So it's just like, I get it. I was at that part where I'm like, oh, I could fix him. No, girl. I don't think you can fix him. You really were, Rachel. I was Katie.
I remember I can fix him there.
I can fix him.
Yeah.
So Brittany, you know, I thought she was a good addition, but I just, Jax and Brittany, I don't know. I wasn't sold on it.
Yeah, this season, I think just looking at this season, I probably wasn't sold on it either.
Yes. Stassi was kind of MIA this entire season.
Well, yeah, because of the
Patrick stuff. So we didn't really have too much on Stassi. We can move to Sandoval and Ariana. So Sandoval and Ariana, they're pretty much serious at this point. Like, they've been living together. Kristen was kind of like minding her own business because she had Carter this time. Mm-hmm. You know, like, she had accepted her piece with the whole Sandoval and Ariana. This was the first season where we finally saw Ariana kind of open up. I don't know if you remember, there was that Vegas trip with the boys.
Oh my god.
Before her birthday. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, okay,
Yeah, so...
It's this, okay.
Ariana's like, no, I want you to stay in LA to celebrate my birthday with me, which, valid.
Yeah, valid. We should say, first of all, okay? First of all, if your significant other has a birthday...
Yes.
You should want to spend their birthday with them.
Mm-hmm.
First of all.
Yes.
Second of all, if your significant other has a birthday and you have other plans, and then your significant other says, I want you to spend my birthday with me, you cancel those plans.
Cancel them.
You know what I mean? Like, if somehow you got past step 1
yeah.
and you actually made plans for some reason on their birthday,
yeah.
you cancel those plans when she tells you to cancel them. Or he, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay? Step 3. If your significant other comes to you crying because her father just recently passed away.
Yes, there you go.
And her birthday has become very traumatic for her post her father passing away. And she really needs you there. As if the first 2 steps weren't enough.
Nope.
Your reaction in that moment should probably be to spend the birthday with her. And I mean, I will never forget. This is comedic timing. Burned into my skull. I had to pause the TV and be like, Maddie.
Yeah.
Please, like, because, yeah, and I will put the fucking clip in here, but just to, like, say it for us right now, like, she is sitting there.
Yes.
As you said, for the first time we've ever seen, opened up, crying, telling Tom Sandoval how traumatic her birthday is post her father's death and how she really needs him there.
Yes.
And Tom is sitting there and he's nodding and he goes, I know, yeah. But it's just...
We got trucks.
We got trucks in Vegas. And then she goes, okay.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was uncomfortable to watch. That was brutal to watch.
And at this point, again, season 3 was them being like, we are a solid couple.
So good together.
So good. And then for this to be shown on the screen, you're like, Tom, what?
It was painful.
And I felt bad. You know what? I'm going to say, I'm Team Ariana through and through. Even before all the scandal.
Yeah,
like,
100%. Yeah.
To me, she was just out here vibing throughout all the seasons. And for her to be vulnerable in this moment, when we had not really seen her be vulnerable, I was just flabbergasted. Then we have Kristen again. She's pretty much detached from Tom and Ariana. She has stopped obsessing.
She's gone on some meds, yeah.
But she's still obsessed with James.
Yes.
So
because
it's just,
they're broken up now. He spit on her door.
He spit on her door? Oh my god.
Unhinged.
Unhinged behavior. But she's now dating a new guy named Carter.
Yeah.
I didn't really have that many feelings about Carter.
It's impossible to have feelings about Carter.
Yeah,
he's nothing. He's an NPC. He adds nothing to this fucking show.
But Kristen was just, again, she wasn't working at SUR anymore. Nope. She was doing her t-shirts, I think.
Yeah, this is the t-shirt era.
And yeah, she was just obsessed with ruining James.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I think, I understand it a little bit because they had a very toxic, like they were hot and heavy and then toxic. Like, it was rough. So I actually understand that more than I do the Tom and Ariana one, where it seemed like an equally toxic thing, and then he left. But anyway, I could be wrong about that though. But this is also, I feel like, the beginning of the downfall arc for James.
Yeah.
Because this is when he really starts drinking, and we see his unhinged James, like, more than anyone I have ever seen on TV or in my real life, becomes a fucking monster when he drinks.
Is this season 4 or season 5? I think the two seasons kind of blend together for me for worst James.
I think it starts here because there's no way we got the spit on the door moment, and when he's just like sober. Yeah,
James. Other than the Lala portion of his interactions.
Yeah.
For this season, it was just James just in a bad place.
Yes, and it only escalates.
Did he get fired this season?
No, I think that's next season.
That's next season?
It only escalates. But, like, it's kind of hard to watch. And this is also, I think, this is the season when he dubs himself the White Kanye, right?
Oh, rough. Then, yeah. Yeah, this is not a good James season then.
Yeah, James Kennedy, a.k.a. the White Kanye.
Oh, yeah.
Which only has aged worse.
Yeah.
Like, as things have changed.
But at the time,
it was still bad.
It's still bad, but now it's even worse.
And I appreciate the commitment to the bit, though. Because it's one of those things where he said it.
Yeah.
And he was being so fucking sincere.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, that is so stupid. But then, like, he's committed to it now to a point where it's become ironic, and he, having grown a lot and stuff, as we'll talk about in later seasons, like...
Yeah.
He uses it ironically, and like Andy Cohen refers to him ironically like that every reunion. So it's become like an ongoing joke. But I think this is like he said it legitimately in like a talking head where he's like, "I'm the white Kanye." Like, James, come on, dude.
That's James in a nutshell. Then we have our next couple.
The engagement. Oh yeah.
The engagement. So. Previous season, we had Ring on a String. And Schwartz is like, you know what, I'm going to marry this woman.
Yeah.
And he proceeds to definitely buy a ring out of his budget. I don't even know where he's getting his money from.
I have a theory that this season is when that VPR money started to hit.
But even then.
Well, I mean, even then, but I feel like
that's when it started.
It was a contributing factor in him buying that ring. It must have been.
And even just like the advertisement for that ring company.
Yeah.
You know, definitely.
True.
Definitely could have got it at a discounted price.
So let me ask you this: as a woman, what did you think of his proposal? So
the proposal, I actually wasn't upset with it. I thought it was fitting for Schwartz. I personally am not a fan, for me, like public proposals. I think that would make me die. But the fact that we knew Katie wanted a proposal for so long, you know, like I knew she was going to say yes. I think it's more riskier if you do a public proposal and you don't know if they're going to say yes.
Of course, yeah.
Whereas with her, you know, I think he really had to show that he was serious. So it made sense why he did a public proposal.
Yeah.
But for me, not for me. Like, you know, I would not want that type of drama. He pretends to have, like, what was it? He was feeling, like, faint or something, and then he gets down on one knee.
Well, then there was also, like, the fake couple proposing.
Oh, yes, that. You know, I was like, that's weird. And, like, Katie wasn't even, like, paying attention.
I feel like that was more... I think Schwartz, and realistically, it was Sandoval. Like, we know Sandoval, but I feel like they were thinking about the plot of the show in that moment. They were like, how can we give these editors something to cut around to make it seem like the proposal is going to go wrong? Because you're right. I don't think Katie gave a shit that this other couple was getting proposed to. She was like, all right. And then Schwartz was like,
standing up?
Actually, it's me proposing to you. Yeah.
So, yeah. Like, I mean, it was cute for the moment. And it was like, I felt like that couple, we saw them kind of go through ups and downs. And at that point, it was like, they needed that win. And it was cute. Katie got what she wanted. She was very happy. And at that time, Schwartz seemed very sure of it. Yeah. You know? And we were finally seeing him step up. And that's all Katie wanted for the past 2 seasons.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, step up. He was finally working. I forget. Oh, I think he was partnering up with Tom with something. Not the Tom at this point, but I think they were proposing like the wine.
This is a hilarious arc where they're like, we want to be brand ambassadors for your wine, and Lisa's like, what does that mean? And they're like, you tell us, Lisa, what can we do for you? And she's like, that's not how this works, dude.
But yeah, that was definitely this season. So like he was starting to get his life in order.
Yeah, he was working on it.
The engagement was like the cherry on top that this was in the right direction.
Yeah,
and I felt like Katie was very much like mellowed out this season too. Like they worked through their stuff.
Yeah, I think this is one of my peak Katie seasons. Yeah, she was killer this season.
So I didn't have a problem with that. Stassi was upset to not be part of the engagement. Yeah, you know, because Katie and her were not really being friends. But that's kind of what happened.
She later did. She made it.
Yeah, she. There's a reason why they weren't close.
Yeah.
So yeah, no other comments on Katie and Schwartz. I was happy for her. I was happy for him. And then going from one side to the other side, we end up with Sheena and Shay. First year of marriage in Trouble in Paradise.
Yes. Well, here's what I'm going to say. Now I'm going to say what I wanted to say 3 seasons ago.
Yeah.
So, when Mike Shay is introduced,
yes,
this man is dead behind the eyes. This man has nothing. This man does not have an emotion. He's not there. He's not there. And I'm like, what the fuck? And for 2 seasons, I'm like, who is this man? Why can't he speak?
Yeah.
What's wrong with him? Then it comes out in this season that outside of alcohol abuse, he is fully addicted to Vicodin. Okay, this man is Dr. House. He's popping Vicodins every day.
Left and right, yeah.
And there's a moment when it comes out, because when it comes out, there's a moment where Sheena's like, I had no idea, and I turned to Maddie and I was like, bro, I saw one frame of this guy on a TV and I was like, there is something wrong with this person. This person is on some shit.
Yeah.
He was not there at all. Throughout any piece of footage I ever saw with them, he was just like dissociated at all times. And
the other cast members referenced that.
Yes, like people noticed. And Sheena was like, what do you mean? Like he was the best. I'm like, no, like He has drug and alcohol problems, dude.
Yes.
Sheena also, in this season, made a comment, and I know she got a lot of flack on social media about it, and Cohen brought it up, but she made a comment where she was, like, talking to him about his sobriety.
Yes.
And she was like, well, I don't want to be with someone that, like, could never drink.
Yeah.
So, like, why don't you just try having, like, one drink when we go out?
Oof.
And like, the entire world just gang piled on her, and they were like, that's not how addiction works, Sheena. Like,
you can't just have one.
You can't just have one drink. And it's, like, to her credit, like, she course corrected after. Where she was like, I apologize. In the reunion, she was like, obviously that was, like, a stupid, ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah.
I've never dealt with or, like, known anyone to deal with addiction. Also, but, like, come on, Sheena. Like, but anyway, like, that
was the first time we've ever seen accountability.
She did take accountability for it, and I did respect that, but that was...
It was just
It was a weird take.
Sheena and Mike Shea, and the way that their apartment situation, I don't know if you ever noticed, it very much gave off, like, frat house.
Yes.
Like, one time she made them a salad so they could eat healthier. I remember the scene,
yes.
and I was just like, what is happening?
Didn't they bring Sandoval in to, like, teach them healthy recipes or something?
Oh, yeah.
So stupid.
So, yeah, we had a very interesting mixed bag of couples and interactions this season. But I think, again, the highlight was kind of Katie and Schwartz finally getting engaged. The rest were kind of in shambles.
Yeah.
Or had issues.
Season 5, rumor has it. Vanderpump Rules Season 5 launches with Jax spreading a rumor. Oh my god, this is iconic.
Yeah.
With Jax spreading a rumor that he caught Kristen and his girlfriend Brittany hooking up, which the latter vehemently denies. Mm-hmm. Dynamic duo James and Lala show up to the scene drunkenly fat-shaming bride-to-be Katie, who will spend most of the next 20-ish episodes lording her wedding over everyone, particularly as her fiancé, Tom Schwartz, asks her for a prenup and gets cold feet. Tom Sandoval and Ariana's relationship runs into non-friction when she starts to write a bartending book and he gets jealous. While allegiances change faster than you can order fried goat cheese balls, Stassi, Katie, and Kristen seem united against James and Lala. Lisa partners with Tom Schwartz and Tom Sandoval on her next bar, Tom. Iconic. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, DJ James Kennedy gets fired from SUR and must beg for his jobs back. Lala stops showing up to events at work, as she also has begun dating Randall, a mysterious wealthy producer. Ooh, spooky.
Yep.
Katie and Tom's joint bachelorette party in New Orleans is a walk down Bourbon Street with innumerable screaming matches, guest appearances by Tequila Katie, and the boys getting dressed in drag. Oh, this is so good.
Yeah.
When the Bubbas finally do get married, Lisa officiates the ceremony and they honeymoon in Bora Bora, an event that is crashed by Stassi. Unfortunately for Sheena, her marriage to Shay does not last the season.
Rip.
Okay. So, here's my first question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did Kristen and Brittany hook up?
To me, it seems like there was truth to it.
Me too.
Because of just how pressed Brittany got.
Yes.
You know, Kristen was kind of like, it's Jax. Like, the more you try to go up against it, the more it's like you're trying to hide something. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, if you just, like, let it be, people are like, Jax, you're so stupid. You're lying again.
Yeah.
So, to me, it screamed like there was some truth to it. And I think why Brittany was very much upset about it, we kind of talk about it a little bit. Coming from Kentucky, I think there was just a lot of,
homophobia.
Yeah. Attached to it.
Yeah.
So I get that she didn't want her
Yes.
personal life aired out, but I mean, she's also on a reality TV show with a boyfriend who doesn't know how to keep his mouth shut.
That's true.
So if she didn't want something like that, you know, maybe don't date the guy with the biggest mouth.
Yeah.
Because he's going to spill it to everyone. And for him, he was very much in a season where he just did not want to be labeled as a liar. That was like his whole thing this season. That was his thing this season, yeah. He wanted people to know he was telling the truth. Even if people were like, yeah, maybe you don't have to say everything though. He's like, no, you're going to hear it. So, to me, I think there's some truth to it. But at the end of the day, you know, I don't know how accurate Jax's representation of what happened actually happened. Maybe they just made out.
Yeah, we don't know.
You know?
I also do feel like, because even as the seasons went on and stuff, anytime it would come up again,
she was like, no.
And he would be like, okay. But he never, even when he got to a point where he became the most honest he's been, let's say, and was pretty outward and honest about things, like, he never let up that, like,
that was the thing.
That happened.
Yeah.
Never. He would be like, sure, I'll stop talking about it. But he never was like, that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think something happened. Again, you're right. Like, maybe his description of
what happened,
which is, like, it's explicit. We don't have to get into it. But, like, maybe that didn't happen, but something happened, I think.
Yeah, it was just such a weird way to start off the season.
I know, it was shocking.
Why he wanted to sabotage. And, like, no one asked him. He just willingly... Like, literally his first confessional was that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And people were like, what are you talking about?
It's crazy.
So, you know, Jax is just, he's going through stuff this season because I think his friends were, like, in serious relationships. Schwartz was getting married. Tom Sandoval and Ariana were more serious because I think at this point they were also talking about, like, what their future held in regards to, like, kids and marriage.
Yeah.
And... yeah, like, I felt like Jax was like, yeah, I guess I have to be with Brittany.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But he was, like, self-sabotaging.
I know what you mean. Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, very weird way to start the season, but not surprised.
Not surprised.
Needed the screen time. Because aside from that, I don't really think much was about him.
No, not this season, yeah. It was a pretty chill Jax season, which maybe explains why he did some stuff next season. But...
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much it for them. Stassi this season, I think... oh no, she's still with Patrick, but they're, like, on and off.
And I think this is the season where she, like, makes up with Katie, right?
Yes, she makes up with Katie. She's back in, like, the friend group.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, Tequila Katie, bullying Katie kind of comes back out.
Right.
And Schwartz is like, it's because you have Stassi back in your life.
Yeah.
Which... may have some truth to it, may not have some truth to it. Who knows?
It's just they all need to be sober. That's what Maddie and I kept saying. If you all just were sober, literally your lives would be so much better.
Yeah, like, definitely, but even when they were sober-ish, like, Stassi being back on it created friction with Sheena and Katie.
Yeah, I mean, that part of it, definitely, yeah.
Sheena was in the bridal party.
Yeah.
But she was fighting for her life every day.
Oh my god. Tell me about it. Yeah,
Everything.
Sheena really got the shit end of the stick this season.
And she was going through her shit with her husband. So she was fighting for her life. Kristen was in the bridal party as well too.
Yep.
But there was issues with the whole Carter situation. I think they didn't want Carter at the wedding, or was that a different one?
No, I think that's the next wedding.
That's next season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the girls are fine. There's some fighting, but
they're
for the
mostly
most part
fine.
they're fine.
Yeah.
Ariana was not in the bridal party. Katie did not like.
No, at
Ariana.
this point, Katie and Ariana did not get along, which is hilarious to think about, but
Ariana was in the groomsmen party.
yes, Tom Schwartz asked her to be a groomsman.
Which I kind of liked.
That was nice, yeah.
I like that. Also this season, we get introduction of Raquel.
Oh my god, did she get introduced here?
Bambi-eyed bitch.
The Bambi-eyed bitch herself.
Yes. Thoughts on Raquel? First time seeing her, I forget what scene exactly.
I forget too. Here's what I'll say. I think up until literally season 9, when half the cast left the show, Raquel was more of a supporting role.
Oh, yes.
And up until then, I did not... You know what? I was going to feel bad saying this, but I don't feel bad saying this after everything she's done. I don't think this chick has 2 brain cells to rub together. Like, calling her a Bambi-eyed bitch is putting it lightly. Like, she is the definition of no thoughts behind her eyes. And it was it was actually shocking. Like, I remember Maddie and I being like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then there's, like, a whole arc where she's, like gets... Basically, because later people in the show will call her stupid, and she'll be like, that's one thing that I hate when people call me, and so I felt bad about making fun of her for that. But then after seeing stuff that happens later, I was like, fuck you. I'll call you stupid.
I forget
you know what I mean?
which season it is, but when she was like, I have a degree. Blah,
yeah,
blah.
I know. I have a degree.
That is one thing that I will quote in my head. Just walking around, I'll be like, I have a degree. Blah, blah. So, yeah, this was definitely, like, there was a lot of fighting between Lala and Raquel. Or not fighting, but just, like, comments from Raquel. From Lala. Even though this was peak her dating Randall.
Yes.
But, again, the twin flames, James and Lala, could not be separated.
Yeah, have we said James and Raquel are dating? That's why she's on the show. I don't know if
they're dating now. She had met him at a DJ event.
Yes.
So, did she come on the show?
Probably.
Or did she date him to come on the show?
I think so.
Yeah. But this was like, she looks so different too.
She looks really different.
She was wearing colored contacts because her eyes were just...
Oh, was she really? I didn't even notice that.
That's why her pupils were humongous.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
She was wearing colored contacts. She had the longer hair, blonde. Yeah, she looks so different.
I think she looks better in this era than she does. I mean, I don't know. We don't have to comment on that. Who cares what I think about what Raquel looks like?
What she did takes away from all of that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this season is just Lala, you know, still not 100% over James and vice versa. But she's also lying about Randall.
Yes.
The timeline of how they got together, how she met him.
Yeah, so basically this is the whole season where the rest of the girls are like, we have receipts from everyone that you basically started dating this guy when he was still with someone else.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I didn't.
No.
I don't know who you're talking to. No.
She's very vague.
Yeah.
And I think it was the reunion episode for season 4 where she was like, I don't have to talk about my relationship. He didn't sign up for the show. And everyone was like,
That's
a lot
what the show
of
is.
people don't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this season was just her very much being evasive when it comes to...
100%.
And it makes sense, you know, whatever. Like, he was very much a high-level executive for a company or something.
He was a producer.
He's
a big shot movie producer who, the only movie I know that he produced is Gotti, which is famously one of the worst movies ever.
Oh my god, that's when James did his little confessional.
Yeah.
And he pulled up, you have to work really hard to get a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. And then when she said like that he was producing that movie, I like had heard about that movie before just from like me being a movie fan, and so I lost my shit, and I was like, that's so funny that that's who she's dating, is the guy that produced that.
Yes.
Quote unquote big shot producer.
So Lala was very interesting this season. I think we can move on to maybe the bachelor party.
Oh my god.
The bachelorette party, most iconic scene. I would call it a Renaissance painting. A modern day Renaissance
He's
painting.
a fucking battered housewife.
That is ingrained in my brain.
Yeah.
First of all, I love the drag looks for all of them.
Yeah, first of all, I'll just say, like, as much as we talk about these guys being, like, shitty frat boy, like, for them to all go all out dressed up in drag and, like, really commit to that bit and go out and have fun doing that, incredible. I was like, you love to see it on TV. Again, in, 2016, like, kind of a big deal for, like, these really popular guys to be doing that, and I thought it was really charming and fun. And Ariana dressed up like a guy, and she fucking killed that shit.
She killed it. She looked like Justin Bieber.
Yeah, it was incredible. She was so funny.
And, like, it was just such a stark difference than the bachelorette party.
Yes.
But yeah, I thought the whole Sandoval defending Schwartz, they're solid. You know, they are ride or die for each other, and foreshadows what happens.
They're too ride or die for each other. There should be lines. Yeah.
I forget exactly what prompted that specific fight that time, though.
I don't even know. I think they had all shown up after their drag thing, drunk.
Yeah.
And they showed up, and then Katie said something to Tom. I forget exactly what. And Tom was really drunk and just, like, lost it. And then Sandoval was, like, trying to get him away. And Kristen then showed up and was, like, escalating the issue.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was about Tom potentially having, like, cheated on Katie or something like that.
Oh, yes.
And Kristen was, like, once again trying to be the fucking FBI, like, get to the truth.
Yeah.
And Sandoval, I think rightly so in this moment, to his credit, was like, this is not the fucking time to have this conversation when I'm trying to get this drunk dude back to his room.
Yeah.
Why are you here ganging up on him?
Yes.
And I think it's actually... It might be Kristen and Ariana that are, like, yelling at Tom in the room, and that's when he does the iconic, like, kicks open the door.
Battered.
He's a battered housewife.
What are you mad about?
I'm sick and tired of him just getting belittled and told what he needs to do all the time. Leave him the alone. He's a battered white.
Yeah, so that is an iconic moment.
Yeah.
Forever. But somehow, somewhere, they make it down the aisle.
I don't know how.
They fought through like the prenup because remember, Schwartz was like, I gotta protect my finances, even though Mans did not have any finances.
That was so funny watching them do the prenup, and the lawyer's like,
you have nothing to,
okay.
no assets.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, I guess we can do this prenup. Like, there's literally nothing.
They literally had the cheating scandal again.
Yeah.
They had to ask Lisa to officiate, and she was like,
no,
I'm not trying to officiate like a wedding that's doomed. But
Foreshadowing.
somehow she did it.
Yeah.
So they made it down the aisle.
Yeah.
And I will say it was a very beautiful wedding.
It was.
And fit their love story. Like it I thought that was like very heartfelt. And they even flew out, didn't they fly out like the brothers?
And that was the first time we saw the brothers. I thought that whole arc was very nice. I thought it was very sweet of Sandoval and Jax to make sure that Schwartz's brothers could be there for the wedding.
Yeah.
To get them like all suits and everything, make sure they were all dressed up.
The money.
Yeah.
The
I
money
mean,
somehow.
shout out. I thought that was very, very nice. You could tell it really meant a lot to Schwartz too.
Yes.
And then I think, like you said, the wedding itself was very
Beautiful.
beautiful. Schwartz's vows almost made me cry. Like,
Aww.
I was literally like, Maddie and I were like, what the actual fuck? Where did this come from? Like, why is Schwartz like a wordsmith all of a sudden? Like, those might be the best wedding vows I've ever heard in my life. Ever. Like, real wedding, TV wedding, anything. And it was like literally somebody's wedding. And unless he fucking paid a writer to write them. But he was writing it like before. He was sitting there writing it. Like.
And that's where you saw like they did have very genuine love
and
for
that's
each other.
that's the part of Schwartz where I'm like, if you could just get away from all these other assholes, I feel like you guys could have been happy. You know?
Could have been.
It has been a roller coaster of a relationship, highs and lows, but 6 years later, I honestly can't imagine not waking up to you every morning. Okay. We almost became like another relationship statistic, another failed romance in La La Land, but we persevered and we worked really hard, and I feel like we practically had to tear down our relationship in order to rebuild. But as I stand here today in this moment, before my dream girl, my beautiful bride-to-be, before my friends and family who I love dearly, I really do, I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart that I've never loved you more than this moment right here. And yeah, and with a...
Season 6. Is it about the pasta? Question mark.
Oh.
Vanderpump Rules Season 6 begins with a bang when it is revealed that Jax cheated on Brittany by sleeping with ex-server Faith while she was caring for an elderly woman, of which is caught on tape, of course. Lala is back, now a kept woman, and forms a close friendship with new hostess Billy Lee, the series' first out trans cast member. Meanwhile, her relationship with James begins to collapse after they get into a heated drunken argument where he refers to her boyfriend as the fat man and explains to her that, quote, it's not about the pasta, exclamation part, end quote. James has allegedly cheated on his college-age girlfriend Raquel with his best friend Logan. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And potentially Kristen, but still manages to launch the wildly successful See You Next Tuesday event at SUR. Yeah. Stassi and Ariana have clashing birthday parties with the former experiencing... Okay, it just cut off. I don't know. Sorry about that. Stassi introduces the world to her on-again, off-again boyfriend Patrick, who blocks her while he is on vacation and harasses Lisa Vanderpump. Sheena has also begun dating a man named Rob, and Rob is the only thing she talks about all season, including how Rob can hang a television in 7 minutes, and Rob. It's a Rob session. Tom is starting to come together, though Tom and Tom are not impressing Lisa with their boyish behavior. Despite being cheated on, Brittany still throws Jax the birthday party in Mexico, where Kristen and James allegedly hook up. She throws water in his face, and Jax announces that he might move to Florida. Back in LA, everyone gets a sneak peek of Tom Tom, and Jax has a full-on meltdown, flipping off Lisa and cussing at Ken. Did we mention Rob? ?
Oh man, season 6. Maybe we can start off with. We got a Stassi. I mean, we usually start Stassi, Jax.
Okay, let's do Stassi.
Stassi. So she's back. I mean, she was back the other season, but she's back again.
Yeah.
With Patrick.
Guess who's back?
They're still together. And we finally... Did we see him in other
We
seasons?
never got to see Patrick. Now we see Patrick. Patrick is on the show. And Patrick is a abusive asshole.
You can see why Stassi has lost, like...
The sparkle.
The spark.
Yeah.
He is... Wow.
He's a terrible person.
Wow. He talks down to her.
He gaslights her.
The whole blocking her while she's on vacation. And she's like, that's just what he does.
It's so weird. Remember, there's like a date that they go on and they film, like the conversation's filmed, and he's like, yeah, when I go on vacation, I just don't want to have any contact with you so I can just like do whatever I want type thing. Like, it's so weird. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah. And again, his comments to Lisa repeatedly.
Well, and that's the weird thing. And I don't know, we actually haven't really like talked about it too much, but throughout the show, Lisa is very much like a mother to everyone on the show, right? Like, she runs these restaurants and stuff, but she's like a motherly figure. She truly like tries to help them all out. She pops in, gives support, all that.
Yeah.
So whenever somebody gets into a new relationship, there's a big life change, they always go and talk to Lisa about it, okay? Lisa's like their home away from home.
Yes.
And so Stassi finally, after all these years, introduces Patrick to Lisa, which is like a big fucking moment. And all Patrick does is talk about how Lisa has a nice ass.
In front of camera.
Like, on camera, yeah.
And clearly at one point, Lisa was like, let's not talk about my butt.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah.
Let me
talk about it some more. So it's safe to say he did not get glowing reviews from Lisa.
No.
But I also think it was the wake-up call that Stassi needed to be like, this is not a guy that you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, Stassi was just there. Just mostly revolving around her significant other. We got to see what I would say is kind of like the first Ariana versus Stassi showdown because of the birthdays.
Yes, where they have the battling birthdays.
And some people just chose to go to Ariana's versus hers. I forget exactly what the...
Forget what Stassi's was, but Ariana's was they go see like a NASCAR race, right?
Oh, was that the NASCAR race?
I think, or they do like the tailgating thing, or they stay in an RV.
Oh.
I think that was this season.
And was Stassi the one where it's like a haunted house or something?
No, that was her. Oh. Yes.
That was this. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then she had like run out crying.
Yes. Oh no! Wait. That's with Bo.
She ran out crying both. Because
Yeah.
I think she had a fight with Patrick.
You know what? You're right. Yeah.
So
you're totally right.
Stassi was just a shell of herself at this point.
Yeah. Oh my God. You could just tell. Yeah.
It was not a good.
It was rough. It was
not
rough.
a good vibe. So that was Stassi. Jax.
Okay.
This was
brutal.
probably the worst of his cheating scandals. Because one, it was with a previous server. Two, it was in the house of an elderly woman.
That's being taken care of.
Three, there was audio footage of it.
Which we haven't heard.
We haven't heard it, but...
It's never been released. I don't know how. I don't know whose fucking legal team made sure that happened.
Jax.
Yeah.
Jax is like, I'm going to throw all the money possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was audio footage that Brittany herself heard to the point where there was a huge fight at their apartment where they run James out of the apartment and he goes into, I think, Sandoval's
I think so.
But Jax and Faith, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's just quintessential Jax sabotaging his life, you know? He has everything that he could want. Mm-hmm. And as we'll see later, you know, Brittany, as we talked about, ends up being the type of partner that he needs. And so, like, for him to go do that is wild. I think there is a little bit of, and they talk about it on the reunion, and I think it is true, because earlier in the show, Faith had tried to kind of, like, come on the show a little bit. She was in some scenes and then wasn't really in the show anymore. Mm-hmm. And there was a little bit of, you know, this being a bit premeditated on Faith's part to try to get in the show as well. Which I definitely believe. But at the same time, you know, like, come on, Jax. Like,
that was rough.
Like, why would you do that? It was brutal.
Sandoval and Ariana, kind of same thing. There wasn't anything too major.
Yeah,
it was just mostly Tom Tom.
It was mostly just the Tom Tom stuff. I think this was the season where a lot of that started to pop off, where it was like, I don't know. I want to get your take on this, because when we were watching it, I think Maddie sided a little bit with the Toms, where they were like, where she was like, why isn't Lisa letting them, like, do anything? Like, why even bring them in? But I think my perspective on the whole situation was, Lisa knows they're useless, and this is just for the plot, and just, like, to give them an opportunity in life. And it's not really, it's more of, like, a gift than a job. And, like, that was my takeaway.
Yeah.
And so we kind of, like, not disagreed, but she was sort of like, I don't know, like, I do understand why they would be annoyed. And I was like, I don't know, dude, if I was in the same position, I'd be like, whatever, Lisa, whatever you want me to do, like, I'll do. What was your take on, like, the way Lisa treated them about getting Tom Tom up and running?
I think, going back to, like, the previous season, I think she invited them on because she needed a connection to the restaurant staff. Yeah. And they were the easiest targets. And she figured, hey, Tom Schwartz quit on his first day when I tried to hire him. So, no, I'm not going to give him the reins to one of my restaurants.
Yeah.
If anything, they were just brand ambassadors.
Yeah, it's what they wanted. They're brand ambassadors.
But Tom Sandoval was in this era where he was, like, got a little too big.
Oh my God.
And like, they would not be able to start this restaurant without Lisa. And the thing is, like, Lisa is not coming from a place where she didn't trust them 100%. It was just like, she has experience, so she's going to tell you, like,
of course,
this is what you need.
It's a learning experience.
Give me a list of drinks that you guys have created. This is what I need your guys' collaboration on, because didn't they go to, like, Vegas to pick out like
lighting fixtures or something?
Exactly. And they were drunk.
They showed up drunk to that meeting. Yes.
So it was like, at that point, it was like they weren't doing anything to convince Lisa that they were actually serious about it. So, like, I was on Lisa's side about it, but I understand why Lisa was partnering up with them. It was there were benefits on both sides.
Yeah, benefits on both sides, for sure. Sure. I agree.
James and Logan, is it true?
No. I'm going to say
very,
no.
Very quick. Like, I don't think it was true at all. I was just like, where is this even coming from?
I think James is open enough and says so much shit that, like, if it was true, he would just say it. He does not seem like the type to give a shit. Mm-hmm. I think he is correct in Logan
making it up.
Yeah, for clout.
James, Kristen, all of them they all were just in very chaotic periods.
Yes, this is a very chaotic time. This is a
season of their life.
Yeah.
And no one was more chaotic than Sheena, because it's always about Sheena.
Oh my God, this is Rob.
Rob. And she was, like, ready to marry Rob. Dude, her divorce was not even finalized yet.
This was so sad. Like, this was legitimately sad.
It was, yeah. And in the end, at the reunion, it all came out that Rob wasn't into her and they had broken up.
No.
So, season 7, in regards to success for all the couples, not so successful. And I think the reunion was also when it came out that Jax's father passed away.
This reunion is, when we find out Jax's father passed away.
And the whole...
Which was rough.
It was rough, and apparently all the stuff that happened with his mom not telling
Yes, so he basically lost both parents because he doesn't have a relationship with his mom anymore.
Yeah.
That was rough. And this is, like... This was a real... Like, every reunion, Jax is always like, oh, I learned so much and I'm going to change, and then he's a piece of shit. But I feel like this reunion and the transition into season 7... Like, I really felt like there was, like, a palpable difference in terms of, like, oh, he grew up. Like, he actually grew up a little bit because of that. And it really, like, brought him and Brittany into a better place. As unfortunate as it is. But I really, like, noticed
this change.
The shift in him after that. Which is, to be expected. But also fucked up that we find out that, like, well, I guess this is the start of next season, but, like, like, Lisa's brother died.
Yeah.
Like, so everyone's just fucking dying. And then doesn't Lala's dad die as well?
I think Lala's dad dies mid-season 7 or early season 8. I forget which one.
Oh my god. It's just, there's a stretch here of, like, a season and a half where it's just, like, death. It's crazy. It's just wild.
So...
Season 7, the final summary. From Jax to Jason.
Oh.
Following the tragic death of his father after last summer, Jax reassesses his life and decides to propose to Brittany, who promptly tells the world, "I'm engaged," from her balcony. The two become both partners in life and business this season, launching their beer cheese company. Oh yeah. Completely fucking forgot about that. Stassi has found a new man, Beau. We love Beau. Who she must share with the rest of the world because everyone loves him. She also launches a new holiday, Outfit of the Day, and debuts her friendship and joint winter-themed birthday party with Ariana. We gotta talk about that. No amount of fake snow can cool off her annual meltdown, however. James is drinking spirals, and he manages to insult literally everyone this season, including fat-shaming Katie at Pride, which gets him fired from SUR.
Okay.
That's the ultimatum.
That's what it is.
Sheena is dating her so-called best friend, Barback Adam, and moves to Marina Del Rey, which appears to be somewhere in Lower Mongolia.
That far?
Yeah, I guess. In classic LA vibes, everyone seems to be half-heartedly bettering themselves. With James considering sobriety, he's considering it, Stassi seeing a witch to exorcise her demons, and Jax and Brittany in couples therapy. Lala takes everyone to Solvang on Randall's PJ, where Kristen's travel anxiety causes her to behave like, well, Kristen. Tom and Tom invite everyone to Mexico to party before the launch of Tom Tom, where Schwartz and Katie have one of their worst fights ever over him getting upgraded to first class and not giving her his seat. Everything comes to a close with Jax and Brittany's engagement party, though it's clear her traditional family have reservations about Jason Couchy.
Oh, Jason Couchy. That's his... Oh,
I
yeah,
guess.
that's his last name, I guess.
Cauchi.
Yeah,
Couchy.
that makes sense. Wow. Lots to unpack there.
Okay.
Where do we even start?
I mean, Beau's the best. I love Beau. Stassi and Beau are OTP.
Stassi, it's like, of all the horrible relationships that we have had to see her go through, Beau is like a ray of sunshine.
He's incredible.
He balances her out so well.
Yep.
And I'm really sad that we only had 2 seasons of them.
I know.
Stassi was finally like in her groove again. She wasn't like season 1 Stassi where she was like Queen Bee, but she was just like, she was main character.
She was.
Energy again. Another thing I'll say, Stassi and Ariana's joint birthday. I so wish we could have had more connections with Stassi and Ariana.
I know. It made me sad because they were always sort of like missing each other throughout the show. Where
Ariana didn't like her for the longest time.
Ariana didn't like her, and Stassi was always like, "But I like you. Like, why don't you like me?" And so they were always like missing each other. And I feel like it really was the last season reunion where you could tell, like, just reading between the lines of the reunion, you could tell they had bonded over like abusive relationships. Because like Ariana was being super supportive of her and sort of like nodding her head and stuff about stuff she was saying as if they had talked about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like the end of her relationship with Patrick was like a bonding moment with Ariana, and that was another thing I'm like, I wish we could have seen more of. Yeah, like you said, was their friendship, because this season
they worked really well.
They were they had a good vibe. Yeah,
when they like hugged each other at the party, I was like, my gosh,
I know,
my 2 queens.
I know, it was so nice. Yeah,
finally getting along on the same page. Like hell had frozen over.
Yeah,
that Ariana was like, yeah, I like you now.
Yeah, all of a sudden, but yeah, I mean, it was great.
It's sad, and I mean, we'll get to it once we talk about season 10, but yeah, just Stassi being there for Ariana, I think would have been just...
I know, I wish we needed more. We needed more people there for Ariana.
Stassi had a really good season. Even though she and Beau had a fight after the birthday party, which I don't even know. All I know is they cut from the party to Stassi in the bathroom trying to clean her face.
Cut, yeah, where it's like, yeah.
And she's just losing her shit. Like literally, there's no context for why exactly, but you know, when you're drunk, you're emotional.
Yeah.
I get it. But then it's just then the next scene is them her talking to Bo, and Bo's just in tears. I was like, there's
he's like,
so
what
much
the
happening.
fuck? Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, Stassi was trying to heal from previous relationships, and at least Bo was very understanding.
Yeah.
But yeah, her edit this season was very confusing, just because there was no context for why she seemed to be upset.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Like, even if it was like an irrational thing, like we didn't know what the argument was that led up to these things.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was a choice on anybody's part.
Or if there was just nothing.
Or if there truly was nothing and it was irrational, in which case, like, you know, I
Makes
get
sense.
it, because after, like, if she was in an abusive relationship, like, that makes sense. But, yeah, a lot of those fights did seem to kind of come out of nowhere, and I very much sympathize with Bo, who's just like, what the fuck is happening, bro? Like, we were fine, you left, and then all of a sudden I'm getting, like, 1,000 phone calls. We haven't even talked. How could you be mad at me? I don't understand.
Yeah, it was very confusing, but shout out to Bo for somehow taming. Season 1 Stassi would be rolling.
I know.
Rolling. But yeah, Stassi, no major complaints, just very confusing.
Yeah.
How she operated. Jax. Proposal.
He's getting his
What
life
did you
together.
think about the proposal? This one versus...
I thought it sucked.
Oh, interesting. I also agree, but...
They went
Expand.
They went to like a dingy like a fish restaurant off the beach, like not just like a fucking, like they're serving on like high school trays, like it was so like nothing.
Yeah.
And then there was no like, I don't know, you just like walked out.
I don't know if we missed any context.
You know what I mean? Like that's what it feels like. I'm like, what is happening right now? What is this? Because she was so like.
Was it the season before? Or, like, they had done their spin-off show. Because you had texted me.
Yeah, they had done a spin-off show at some point.
So I'm thinking maybe there was reference to that.
It must be.
That we were just like, why this specific place?
Yeah.
What happened here? But...
I wasn't impressed.
It was, you know... She seemed to love it. I just was like... She's carrying, like, dirty napkins. Trying to clean up after, like... I was like, this is... You know...
It was weird. Yeah, it was a weird vibe. But if it works for them...
But they seemed genuinely happy.
Yeah,
like,
they did.
Jax was like, I'm serious about this.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about it, maybe it was because of everything that happened in his personal life with his parents, but I was like, okay, I'm rooting for you guys in a way.
Yeah.
But, you know, still had some general, like, you know, Jax is going to be Jax. They had their beer cheese company. And then the parents of Brittany came down. And I think this is when...
This is when the roast was?
Yes. And they had talked, or they had shared a picture or something about Jax, like during the roast or something. And Brittany's mom was in the audience. I don't know, something like that had happened.
There was something. Oh, I think the whole thing about the gay guy he lived with came up.
Oh, yes.
And then Brittany's mom was like being weird about it, where she's like, "Are you gay?"
Yeah. And we kind of were like,
that's a little
the
sus.
dots are kind of connecting there of why Brittany was very much like...
Yeah, maybe some internalized homophobia.
Yes.
From her upbringing.
So, Jax and Stassi, it's so weird now to do the updates for Jax and Stassi versus season 1, where they're like, oh yeah, they were fighting each other. Now they're
so
just
far
like,
apart now.
It is what it is. Ariana and Sandoval, was there anything major for them this season? I don't even know.
I don't think so. I mean, I think we should introduce, if it wasn't this season, it's in one of the couple seasons prior or something, but there's this sort of like ongoing thread of Ariana's kind of like uncomfortable with her body because of like an abusive relationship, and so she has
probably
like
from last season they were talking about.
Yeah, so she like struggles a little bit like sexually.
Right.
And this has come up as a topic. It's just important to lay the foundation for that. That she's basically told Tom, like, I can't, like, I am not really able to get into having sex without that sort of, like, quality time and intimacy, like, beforehand. Like, I really need that. And Tom is evidently not very receptive to that note, because it seems like it's a persistent issue that could really be fixed. Like, not... Yeah. You know, who knows? But, like, to me, that seems like a very clear piece of feedback from her that's, like, just spend more quality time with me and it would be easier.
And I feel like Ariana has been doing that throughout the season.
Yeah.
Just like communicating with Tom, and Tom is like,
Yeah. Tom's
no,
like, but the truck's in Vegas.
the trucks.
So that's definitely something worth pointing out about the relationship,
sure.
because that will come back. But I think that's...
He's just busy with Tom.
He's busy with Tom. He's making his drinks. He's...
Yeah. So not too much about them.
Katie and Schwartz?
Katie and Schwartz.
They had a big blowout.
Yeah, the whole trip to Mexico that you're referring to. I would say this is one of their 2 worst fights. The second fight we'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
But this fight, when he's in the hammock or something.
Yes.
And he says some really awful things to her.
He said something like, I forget what the lead up is, but it's something about how he's sick of the sound of her voice or something like that. Like, yeah.
And Tom and Ariana, I think, were in the hammock, a floor
and they
below.
can hear the whole fight.
So that was very shocking to me because, like, with Katie, yes, we've seen Tequila Katie, we've seen, nagging Katie and being like, get your life together type of Katie, but this point, I felt really bad for her.
Yeah.
I was like, she just wanted to be on a plane with you as a couple, and yeah, you got upgraded to first class, but like, I don't know, like they showed footage of her being like, switch with me or something, and he was like flat out no. Like, I don't know. And obviously, like, relationship dynamics are very different, like, whatever, it's fine, but for that one, I was just like, I can't believe someone say that to their significant other.
Yeah, I know.
And you're married at that point.
I know, it's wild. It's wild that they just, like, casually fight like that.
And, yeah, it was... And she was definitely at her wit's end. Like, she was trying to be like, it's not about the first classic. It's not about
the pasta.
It's not about the pasta. And he was just not getting it. And he said some really awful things to her.
Yeah.
And she was also going through a lot of things because, again, James was, like, fat shaming her.
This is peak fat shaming.
Body shaming her. And I think it was just, like, bubbling in her.
For sure. Well, I think this is really, like, we're starting to see the cracks of Tom Schwartz doesn't take my side. Like, that's
Yes.
sort of, like, the key thing that keeps coming up and really is, like, seen here is that Schwartz is, like, so quick to side with anyone else, so quick to hear anyone else's side of the story and see the good in anything. But if I open my mouth, it's Tequila Katie, fucking shut the fuck up. And, like, that is, like, a persistent theme, and it's really now, like, in this season, becoming a problem.
Yes.
That's what Schwartz's behavior is like.
Yeah, so Katie and Schwartz were going through all that. Katie on her own again was going through the stuff with James.
Yeah.
She, after the whole next comment about, like, the body shaming from James, she then issues the ultimatum. This is when she issues the ultimatum to Lisa. And this was coming at a time where Lisa was like, I don't know if I could necessarily, not that she wasn't supportive, but she was like, business-wise, James is raking in all the money because of his See You Next Tuesday event. But Lisa decides to, support her original OG girls and stops the event. I don't think she necessarily, or she did fire James.
No, she does fire James.
She fires James, and Katie decides to then host a girls' night. But on the flip side, like with the James thing, I think him getting fired from STIR, while it was a good decision because, like, again, he was in a really bad place. Like,
he was in an awful place.
He was talking down to people and saying the really meanest thing.
Yeah.
But I will say in this season, the scene that he has with his mom really exposes why
oh my God,
he is the way that he is. Like, because his mom, I think he was trying to open up to her, and her reaction was to be like, did you have, like, Chanel or something, like Gucci, so-and-so.
You took your first steps at a Tiffany's.
Yeah, something like that. And I was like, what is this? So, like,
his mom goes to Lisa and is like, you're like a mother figure to him. And Lisa's like,
You're
his mother, woman. Like, get your shit together, bro.
Yeah.
Get sober. Be a fucking mother. Like, this is, like, you and your son are both going downhill.
It was really, I felt bad for James in that moment. Not invalidating and justifying what he said, but it was just like, it's clear that this guy was very lost.
He's had a very, like, shit upbringing.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Even, like, his scenes with his dad, I forget which season it is, but it's just like he had no support.
Yeah.
And then you tie that in with drugs, alcohol, very toxic relationships.
100%.
The entertainment industry in general. Like this, I don't think there was any room for success.
Oh, yeah.
For him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think firing him, while yes, it's a good decision, I think it just like kind of furthered him to not really have that support.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But then he still had Raquel.
Great.
And Raquel decides to throw a puppy shower.
Yeah. And then nobody came.
A puppy. My favorite part was her going up to Jax to invite him. And Jax was most iconic confessional, I think, from Jax. Like, he basically calls her like a bag of rocks.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, just no thoughts going
So
through
funny.
that brain.
So funny.
But a puppy shower.
Yeah, I is that a thing, like, outside of Raquel having done it?
I don't think that's ever been a thing.
I've never heard of anyone doing it.
But Sheena showed up, I think.
Of course she did. She has to be friends with everyone.
Yeah, because at this point I think Sheena was just like, didn't have Rob.
R.I.P.
She had Adam.
She bought a penguin for Adam.
She bought a penguin. And she didn't even get to tell him.
I bought him a penguin.
I didn't see a problem with Adam. I thought he was normal.
Yeah,
She effed that up.
She really did F that up. She effed everything up.
Season 7, I just, how do they all afford all of this?
Alright, I have no more summaries. Now it's time to bang out the 2 worst seasons of the show.
Season 8.
Season 8, what happens? You let me know from your notes.
So
Just tell
season
me.
8, we get in, so Tom is now fully fledged running.
Yeah.
And we are introduced to some new cast members. We have Max.
Brett.
Charlie and Dana.
Dana?
Dana. Oh my god, I couldn't even remember their names. So they work at, well, Charlie works at Sir. The others work at Tom. But yes. I think Dana
moves to Sir. It's a real Sheena situation, yeah. Sheena
used to date Max.
Yes.
But they broke up. And by dating, I don't really know what...
They hooked up, probably.
But Max shows interest in Dana, and Sheena makes it her mission to now make Dana her number 1 target.
Yeah.
Because, as you mentioned, the rest of the cast from the reunion episode had announced that they bought houses, and they also proceeded to kind of quit Sir.
Yeah, they got real money now.
They got real money. So Sheena was the only one really working. And I think maybe Jax was still working there, and Ariana a few shifts.
Yeah, she was like on board, so I'll pick up a few shifts.
Yeah, but the rest of them were chilling. And yeah, so this season was rough because they just introduced characters that we did not care about. I did not care.
So boring.
This was the season that I struggled to get through the most. It took me 2 weeks.
It's rough. It
was really bad. They just didn't have the same energy.
No, they don't have charisma. They don't have anything, dude. Dude, Dana? Oh my god, bro.
I could not care. I did love how Sheena tried to get Dana to talk to like a medium or something. Or some psychic reader or something. I thought that was funny.
It was funny, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sheena just, again, for the plot. She's like, Dana, you need to do something interesting this season. Dana's like, I refuse.
Kristen and Carter this season, I think this was when...
Oh, yeah.
Carter was just not being a good boyfriend, and the girls were trying their hardest to be like, Kristen, wake up. Wake up. Stop mothering your boyfriend.
This is the end of their friendships. Yes. This season ends on such a fucking weird down note.
That montage.
Yeah.
Yes.
It ends with like a sad cover of the VPR intro.
Yeah.
And it's like Tom and Jax are on the outs and all the girls are on the outs and it's like, Jesus Christ, like what has happened here?
Yes. And then the best proposal, I would say, Bo and Stassi.
Oh yeah, that was excellent.
Best proposal.
It was so unique, so like specific to her.
At a cemetery.
Yeah.
And Bo really threw her off his scent.
That was really... I felt so bad for him when she kept, like, getting upset about not being engaged. And he was, like, actively working on the proposal. And he's like, Jesus Christ, Stassi.
Just wait a few days, please.
Literally days, yeah. So funny.
But I'm so happy. And I'm really sad that we obviously did get to see their wedding. But given the circumstances, I understand why. And we'll get to it next season.
Yeah.
Why they're obviously not on the show. And that kind of segues into Jax and Brittany's wedding and that whole fiasco with their pastor.
I don't understand this. Explain this to me.
So, from my understanding, the pastor had made some homophobic comments.
Yeah, he made some homophobic comments.
Yes.
What I don't get is Sandoval, anyway, is basically saying, like, there's no way you could have not
known that.
Seen being tagged in these posts, whatever.
Yeah.
And Jackson Brittany's whole thing was, like, that they had seen something, but they had talked to the pastor about it, and that he was like...
Oh, I didn't mean it?
Not even that, or maybe, like, it wasn't me. Whatever. They had resolved it somehow.
Yes.
And then more stuff had come out. Mm-hmm. And Jackson and Brittany were like, well, as soon as we find out about that stuff, that's when we fired him. But then Sandoval, like, took it upon himself to be like, you only did it because Lisa told you to do it. But I have no idea what the truth is. Like, were they not looking at stuff? Did they only do it because Lisa told them to do it? I don't know. I
think this pastor came from Kentucky, right? Like,
he was like a family friend, yeah.
Yeah, so I forget exactly what he said in his Instagram post or social media, but it did. I mean, this is coming from a time where it's closer to social media age.
Yeah.
You know, things are getting more traction.
Yeah, this is like right pre-COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a lot of fans of the show had seen it, started spreading it around. So at the time when this was first, like when they first got engaged and like were starting wedding preparation, and I think they were sharing on their social media who their pastor was going to be, that's when it started to get traction. Like, hey, you guys need to fire this person. Mm-hmm. And then, they were kind of in their own bubble. I'm not surprised that they were like, no, it's not that big of a deal. And I think Lisa was like, no, you're not going to do this. Because I think also at this season, wasn't she like awarded something in regards to like her
pride?
I think she had won like some ambassador award. So
somehow, yeah.
She obviously they filmed these seasons before they edit it, so it's like a few, they can edit it however they want. But I think she was probably sat them down and was like, no, you literally can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, I would not be surprised if she did sat them down. But, like, I don't know how they know that one, was it Backstreet? No, NSYNC. What's his name?
Lance Bass.
Lance Bass. I was like, how do they know him? Like, obviously Lisa knows him.
No, Lisa definitely pulled that favor. I think Lisa was like, if you fire this guy, I'll get Lance Bass to officiate. And they were like, okay.
So that's why I was like, I definitely think it was coming from up that they had to fire him. Because I was like, Lance Bass, when would he ever associate himself with Jax Taylor?
Yeah, for sure. No. It was a Lisa doing. But I understand Jax's frustration because, like, it was clearly a sensitive issue and it was resolved, and then for Sandoval to, like,
rehash it, basically.
Bring it up on the show while they're filming.
Yeah.
When him and Jax are already not in a good place.
Yeah.
Like that very much, and Sandoval tried to play it off as like, what? I was just asking a question. And it's like, no, but like, you're doing it on the show. Like, you're bringing up this on the show when it's like, this is a private thing. It was a family friend who we found out was a piece of shit, and like, it was dealt with. It is dealt with. We've moved on from it. Why are you bringing this back? Why are you creating this drama out of nothing? So I understood their frustration, but that whole subplot was a little weird. It was a little weird.
It was very odd, but that kind of, again, I think there were a lot of moving parts to it, and they were like, we don't want to get canceled, but...
Yeah, exactly. Little did they know.
Little did they know. Yeah, so season 8, worst season, I would say.
Yeah, it's tough for me between 8 and 9. We'll talk about 9.
Okay. But that was season 8. Season 9, the characters that we meet in season 8 are gone, except for Charlie. And
also the regular cast. Mostly gone.
Jax Taylor, gone. Stassi, gone.
Kristen,
gone. And obviously there's a reason why Kristen and Stassi were cut from the show. I think you know more about it because you probably read it more recently than me.
Like, apparently back in the day, you guys can internet fact check me. You can, like, look it up. But apparently back in the day, when Stassi and Kristen didn't like Faith, they had done like a prank call to the police, basically saying that, like, hey, we heard you're looking for someone that matches this description, and we think that person is Faith. just to like get her in some trouble and like shit disturb. Mm-hmm. In light of, you know, like conversations about race and stuff like that. Like, Faith is black.
Yes.
And so Faith basically came out and was like, this was like really fucked up and racist.
Yes.
And so they got fired from the show for that. The show never addresses it either. There's no moment where they talk about it. It sucks.
It was very messed up to hear that that's what happened behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are issues with Faith and how she tried to get on the show and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But regardless, that is not...
No, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah,
Like,
she
even
did not deserve that at all.
Like, putting aside the fact that, like, Faith is black, that's just a fucked up thing to do.
To call the cops on someone.
To, like, call the cops on someone and be like, I think this person fits your description. Like, that's really weird.
Yeah.
Then you add in, like, the racial undertones of, like, these two white girls doing it, and, like, it's pretty fucked up.
So it made sense that they had to cut them.
I get it.
I'm actually, honestly, like, with the number of scandals that come out for other, like, reality shows and people don't get cut from that, I'm kind of like, wow, bravo.
Good for you.
Good for you guys.
Yeah. Well, and the weird thing is, like, how season 8 ended. Because it's, like, all the friendships end on this downbeat. Mm-hmm. And so it's, like, you're expecting to come into season 9 and get some type of, like, where Jax and Tom at? How's, you know, what's going on with Kristen and Stassi and Katie?
And they still lived in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, and it's, like, for there to be none of that after the, you know, the fucking, the downbeat of season 8 was weird.
Yes.
And I think it leaves season 9, like... This is why it was tough for Maddie and I, is like, it doesn't have the new characters, so that's a plus, because the new characters sucked.
Yeah.
But without fucking Stassi and Kristen and Jax, it's like, those are the shit disturbers. Those are the primo shit disturbers. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and then it's like, everyone has kids, like, suddenly, like, there's all these kids. It felt like, season 9 to me felt a little bit like...
It was a different...
You gotta be careful now. Like, the vibe is changing. Like, season 8 was like a bad Vanderpump, and season 9 was sort of like a different Vanderpump. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. You know?
And there's also, like, I think there was a gap between season 8 and season 9.
Because of COVID, yeah.
So, yeah, it definitely was a weird stretch of time.
Yeah.
There's another thing, but before we get to that, we have the famous Rachella.
Oh my god,
Rachella.
Yeah.
Raquella, whatever, where James plans a very intricate proposal for
Raquel.
her.
And Tom Sandoval paid for it.
Which we'll get to in season 10, all that. But what did you think about the proposal, since we've talked about all the other ones?
It was cool. It was nice.
It was a nice one.
It was well thought out. I did think it was a little weird how much they were all like, oh, this is so nice that we get to have our own private Coachella because COVID took it away from us. And I was like, yeah, there's a lot of other bad things COVID did. Mm-hmm. You know? Like, maybe not having Coachella for a year isn't, like, the worst.
The worst thing?
So I thought, like, the emotional response to that was a little weird. But the actual, like, thought process of the proposal I thought was really nice. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I mean, at the time, like, just watching season 9 as it... You know, if you were watching it as it comes out with no context, you know, it seems like good guy Sandoval really helping out his friends.
Yeah.
So
come a long way from when Sandoval didn't like him because of Kristen.
Yeah.
Long way.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was the proposal. But aside from that, we have our mainstays, which is Sandoval, Katie, Ed, Schwartz.
Oh God, yeah.
And this was when they were prepping for Schwartz and Sandy's.
Yep, their second bar.
What did you think about the name?
Awful.
Schwartz?
Yeah. Awful.
What was the other name that they were proposing? Because the one that Katie actually proposed, I was like, oh, that does sound good.
I can't even remember now.
But
Schwartz and Sandy's is disgusting.
Schwartz and Sandy's.
Like, Tom is cute because it's like, they're both named Tom. Like
but Schwartz and Sandy's?
Schwartz and Sandy's is just 2 last names.
Yeah.
And, like, 2 bad last names. Like...
And it's not even... Sandoval is his last name, not Sandy's.
Like, stupid. It's a terrible name.
So, the main drama here was Sandoval versus Katie. Katie wanted to be involved with this bar because she was not. They were unsuccessful with the fertility clinic and having a baby.
Yep, big L.
So Schwartz and Katie were like, or Katie proposed, like, let this be my baby. Let
Yeah.
me be involved. And again, she's had a lot of experience working in the restaurant bar industry, as she was talking about in her confessionals.
Mm-hmm.
And she was coming from a place where she just wanted to provide, help. Because they already had Tom Tom. This was going to be their second bar. And immediately, Sandoval was not about it. But Schwartz never communicated that, like, between each
That's
other.
the problem, ultimately, is that he never communicated to Sandoval about his communication with Katie, and then he never communicated with Katie about Sandoval. And so it just created this awkward tension.
Yes.
And, yeah, it was not good.
It was and they had so many blow-ups, and I think the one scene of just them, like, at the restaurant themselves, just being like, listen to my husband. He's a co-owner, I think.
Yeah.
And Sandoval was just yelling at her, and it was very chaotic. And the thing is, like, Katie actually did provide a lot of
Useful
information, because they had their third partner, Greg, and Greg was just, like, unimpressed.
Oh my god, Greg was
these
pissed, bro. He was like, why am I working with these fucking idiots?
Nothing got accomplished, I think, this season. I don't think so.
No, nothing.
But they did open. They did like a family and friends opening.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
But
I still, by the end of season 10, it still wasn't open.
yeah. So that was pretty much it. But then Katie and Ariana, a long way from when she didn't want her in her bridal party.
She wasn't a bridesmaid,
decide to open up a sandwich shop called
Something about her.
Yes. What do you think about that?
I love it.
I'm excited for it.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what it is. Season 11. Let's see, baby.
I mean, I hope it is working, because they're still building it.
Oh, well, I saw some TikTok footage of, like, them filming the intros. Because you know how season 10, they started doing the different intros in different locations?
Yes.
And Katie and Ariana got an intro filmed together at the store. So I think it must be open, yeah.
Hopefully, okay.
That's something about her.
Yeah, so
that was exciting.
I'm excited for them. I'm happy that they have a friendship.
Yeah.
Because I think they always worked, but for some reason in the early seasons it was just not working.
Kristen. Yeah, Kristen. It really was Kristen. Also, we should say, like, Kristen's not on the show anymore, but before she left, her and Ariana were, like, fine.
They were
fine. It was kind of weird that they ended up being fine, yeah.
So they all worked out at the end.
Yeah.
And then, fast forward to that one weekend where they go to celebrate, I think was it the engagement party already? Where Sheena and Brock announced that they got engaged.
That was at Raquel and James' engagement party.
And they didn't tell James and Raquel.
No.
Obviously. But, Sheena's got to make it about herself.
It's always got to be about Sheena.
And I swear a few scenes before, they were like, we're not going to tell anyone this weekend. But the minute they have people, they were like, yeah, we're engaged, guys.
Yeah.
And they also proceed to decide to have a secret wedding. Or, like, they were planning.
Well, that's what they wanted to do, yeah.
Yeah. And they called Tom and Ariana to be witnesses.
Even Sandoval was like, this is a bad idea.
Yeah. He's like, I don't want to get involved with this.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they get engaged. And Brock somehow manages to buy this extravagant ring.
I don't know how he did
cards.
that. Yeah, I guess. I that's crazy that he bought that ring.
Mm-hmm.
People spend money so stupidly.
I just, like, wow. I don't... Again, maybe it's, like, part of it is discounted. Because it's the same guy. They buy the ring from the same guy.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. What's his name again?
I forget. But it's always the same guy.
Maddie and I always used to be like, oh, that guy. I forget his name. When she comes out, I'll...
Yeah. But, yeah. So, the season ends with the engagement party. And
fiasco.
Raquel makes her toast. Her speech.
Oh, she does, but it's James telling her what to say behind her.
Yeah. But it all works out. They have a really good time. James meets the rest of the fam. And we proceed to transition to season 9 reunion. And the first thing they say is that the engagement is over. And
nobody knew.
No one knew.
The season 9 reunion is incredible. Because they come out and Andy Cohen is just doing his, like, how's it going? How's engagement planning going? And they're like, oh yeah, we're not engaged anymore. And everyone's like,
because it just happened, like, the day before, I think.
Literally, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was rough. What did you think about that? Like, obviously, again, I know you knew Scandival, but maybe even Maddie. Did she see it coming, that they were no longer engaged at that point?
So, At that point, no, because Maddie didn't know Scandival was about
Raquel.
I did, but I didn't know it was revealed that way on the reunion.
Oh.
So I was dumbfounded that they just weren't engaged anymore. I was like, okay, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Interesting.
It is so weird though, because I guess when we talk about Scandival, like I have questions, but like the timeline of it.
Yes.
Because it's like, it's so odd to me that Sandoval paid that amount of money and did this big gesture for her engagement.
Yeah.
And then her and James break up. And like at that point, per the official timeline, they weren't hooking up yet. Like that's really weird because that seems like such red flag behavior, like that they were hooking up. But I guess they weren't. But we'll talk about the timeline.
Yes.
But so it was shocking. It was weird. It made for great TV though. That reunion is
Everyone's reaction was literally
it's incredible. Yeah. Everyone's like, wait, seriously?
Yeah. So that was kind of the main highlight of the season 9 reunion. Other than that, I don't really know what else they talked about.
I mean, maybe they talked about the sandwich shop a bit, but
something about her. But yeah, that's season 9.
That's season 9.
So season 10, I didn't actually write notes on this because I know you watched it recently, so you'd probably still be able to give a summary.
Alright, so there's 2 key elements to season 10. There's 2 breakdowns.
Yes.
Let's talk about
pre-Scandival.
Let's talk about pre-Scandival. Because, so for those who don't know, Scandival is the last episode of season 10. Was not intended to exist ever. It was filmed after filming had wrapped. After main production had wrapped. Which, I have so many questions for Rachel about the timeline. But before any of that, what we thought was going to be the biggest scandal of season 10, or not even scandal, but just the biggest item, season 10 opens, and I have some great footage of this that I'm going to maybe insert in here so you can hear Maddie's reaction. But season 10 opens, and we're seeing Tom and Katie's wedding vows, and we're like, oh yeah, this was a cute moment. Guess what? They're divorced, motherfuckers.
Over.
Tom and Katie, dead.
Over.
Dead to us as a couple. They're done. Katie's had enough.
Katie had her short hair. That was a new era.
She's in her I'm living the good life era. Yeah, I mean that is.
You didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that. Really, no.
Interesting.
Like I had seen some clips from BravoCon.
Oh really?
This year.
Yeah.
When she's like, when Tom's like, "Hi, Katie, you look good," and she's like, "You look like a couch."
Oh yes.
And so I kind of knew, I was like, okay, like something, but I thought maybe Scandival like led to them not being together. I didn't realize that was like, that was supposed to be the fucking.
That was supposed to be the main.
That was the vibe of the season. Was like, oh, we got some shit this season, and then something else happened as well.
This was a big. Oh, sorry, I can't speak. This was supposed to be the original like piece of drama.
Well, yeah.
The divorce.
Even at, it starts off and they're talking about it and they're like, we got divorced, but we're still good friends. And, like, the last thing, it ends on this, like, fade out, this, like, ominous fade out of Katie being like, yeah, we agreed on one thing, which is, like, don't date within the friend group. Yeah. And it ends on this, like, ominous fade out. Which is, like, again, like, that was pre-Scandival. Like,
pre-Scandival.
That is just strictly talking about that Schwartz and Raquel have a weird thing.
Yes.
Okay. So here's my first question to you. This might be hard to talk about. Like, we're going to beat around the bush about Scandival before we fully get there. I'm a little bit... Okay. Was Schwartz and Raquel... And I'm asking you as, like, a Reddit person.
Okay.
Like, I don't care what they said on the show. I know what they said on the show.
Yeah.
Was Schwartz and Raquel ever actually anything, or was that whole plot line Schwartz trying to cover up for Sandoval? Do we know? Because I had heard that the whole, from that YouTube channel I mentioned fucking 5 hours ago when we first started this, that YouTube channel had basically mentioned that all that, the like, oh, like Raquel was making out with a Tom at Coachella, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That basically Schwartz was covering up for Sandoval by doing Sheena's podcast and being like, that's me. But is that true? Or, like, do we know?
So from my understanding, it's never come out. Like, it's never come out that, I was covering for him.
Yeah.
I think back when they recorded the podcast with Sheena, Tom was like, oh yeah, they kept talking about Tom, so everyone just assumed it was me. Because they were like, oh, Tom Sandoval was with Ariana. So it kind of just took a life of its own. But he was like, no, I was just dancing with Raquel. I think that's what kind of happened.
Okay.
And that was before the season started filming, I think.
Yes.
So I think that just kind of helped gain traction.
Okay.
Tom Schwartz can be a thing with Raquel this season.
Interesting.
And from my understanding, Reddit's kind of caught in the middle, where they're like, there's some people where they're like, no, Schwartz did not know, because when we start talking about the rest of it, like, there's aspects where he was like, it just seemed like very genuine, like he did not know, he was shocked by it.
Yep.
And there's others that are just like, no, he's covering for his friend because he's done that before.
Yeah.
He's a good actor.
He is.
So people are very torn. And for me personally, I am in the camp of he knew the entire time.
Yeah, he must have, right?
He knew the entire time, and I think, you know what, he's like, I need to get paid this season. And I'm gonna get screen time.
I think so.
He had a divorce to pay, even with a prenup.
True.
The house.
The useless prenup, yeah.
So for me, I'm like, I think he definitely knew of it, but at the same time, he probably didn't know the extent. Like, to him, maybe it was like they had just made out one time.
Right.
Maybe that's why he was like, oh yeah, I'll just kiss Raquel.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what. But then when he realized, oh no, it's like deeper than this,
they got a connection.
Maybe I got to take a step back. And he did that for a little bit. But now I think he's cool with Sandoval, so who knows?
Thanks again for listening to the Feature Length Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean a lot to us if you like this video, give us a rating and review. If you want to stay up to date with the latest episodes of the podcast, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the bell to be notified when we post a new video, or follow the podcast on Spotify. If you want to connect with us directly, you can follow us on Instagram at Feature Length Podcast, or even send us an email at featurelengthpodcast@gmail.com. Catch you on the flip side.